There's a new Home Depot now open on Maurice Avenue in Maspeth. And as home improvement projects go, this is a big one. Use the product locator on our app for an in-store map to find what you need fast. And check out our new pickup lockers. They make online shopping a breeze. Of course, one thing's not new, our everyday low prices. The Home Depot, now open near Maurice Avenue and Long Island Expressway in Maspeth. And always open at HomeDepot.com. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
Pro Extra is the Home Depot's free loyalty program built for pros. Members earn perks just for shopping, like new Pro Extra dollars or tool rental perks. Get exclusive benefits every day that save time and money. And here's an extra, $20 off your next in-store purchase of $200 or more, just for signing up. Want to save? Join Pro Extra, only at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Visit the Pro Desk in-store at HomeDepot.com/Pro Extra for details.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
What's up, everyone? Freddie the Pizza Man here, host of the Pizza Man podcast. Now joining forces with ChristopherMedia.net. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, the Pizza Man podcast. And, of course, find all the podcasts on ChristopherMedia.net. We talk Detroit sports. I bring on guests, passions, opinions, all for Detroit sports and more. We even talk pizza. So thanks for tuning in and spread the word.
Christopher Media. Let's make some noise. From Asthma Core Studios near Detroit, Michigan. It's unregimented.
Gangsters, what's up, guys?
And now, here are your hosts.
Number 238, back. Chris.
I'm Aaron.
I'm Rich.
And I'm Todd. Hello.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys normalized yet? It's starting to feel normal. Are you comfortably numb yet?
You know, in a related story, that is the worst setting in audition is normalize. I think it's a related thing. Terrible.
Oh, too. Yeah, normalization is horrible.
Oh, it is.
I wish it was never offered as a preset in any software.
No, it's ridiculous.
But yes.
How you guys been? We haven't talked in a few weeks. I missed the last episode, and then you guys were off 2 weeks. So, hi. I've missed you.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah, I did get a few messages like, "Where's Todd? Where's the show?" The second week, 2 weeks in a row, no shows. There's something I need to know, and I'm like, no, everything's tech issues, personal bullshit. Everything's fine.
All is well, unregimented hordes.
Well, Rich's must-see TV got canceled.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
Did you catch up on all that, Rich, before they delete them all?
Are you talking about the Roseanne?
Yeah.
Shit. Yeah. They managed to, ABC managed to air the last episode before her fucking Twitter tirade, or she let the last episode air before she decided to make. And, hey, I'm sorry. Someone give me a network show so they can take it away from me for saying this. That bitch does look like the female monkey from Planet of the Apes. I don't know what to say.
Just a disclaimer: Rich is on some new medication.
Look, you could have warned me of that before we started. I didn't know that. Look. A lot of shit's happened in the last few weeks. That's worth mentioning, fuckers.
No, some people look like animals. I look like a bulldog. She looks like the female monkey from Planet of the Apes.
Ah, you kind of remind me of that professor in the original Planet of the Apes, Rich. I don't know why that is.
Dr. Zayas.
That's what you remind me of. I don't know. Does that make me racist? I just called you a monkey. Uh-oh.
I don't know. I mean, and
no, because he's white.
Trump does kind of look like an orangutan. You know? It's
Didn't Bill Maher get sued because of that statement?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Everyone was like, well, what's the difference of Bill Maher compared to the president to an orangutan?
Yeah.
Look, I get it. But if just to say someone, first of all, I wouldn't know that woman had any black in her. Just to look at the pictures I've seen.
I know she was.
That's what I'm saying. Second of all, if it wasn't an apt comparison, if it was just like, well, Louis Farrakhan looks like a gorilla, and then yeah, it'd be like, yeah, that's pretty fucking racist. It's not even an attempt at humor. That was a legit attempt at humor, especially when you put them side by side, and you're like, either okay. What if she said she looks like Michael Jackson 6 days before he died. Because Michael Jackson looks like the female monkey from Planet of the Apes. And he's a white guy, or he was. He's a white woman when he died. So,
you know, the whole thing with Roseanne. You know, we talked about how batshit she is on I think a couple episodes. Probably, she's freaking nuts. If you've ever followed her Twitter account before she shut it down, she's just nuts, batshit. And it seems to me that it's fitting that show ended that way, with her just going onto Twitter, posting something absolutely ridiculous. You can take the humor in it, you can take the humor out of it, whatever. How stupid do you have to be to post that now? What did she think was going to happen?
Yeah.
Did she think that nothing was going to be, no consequences would be suffered because of that?
It's one of those hey, do you watch the news kind of deals.
I feel like maybe earlier that day she had a meeting with ABC and they're like, so season 1 was doing really well. Let's ramp up for season 2. When can we start production? And she was just like, oh, fuck, really?
She's self-destructive, man.
This is my life now. I don't want to do this anymore. I had my big comeback. I have my moment. I'm out of here.
I think you're giving
blowing it up.
Too much credit. The bitch is self-destructive.
Yes.
She's self-destructive. She cannot act. She cannot exist in a state of calm.
Maybe in the back of her brain, there was part of her that was saying that.
Yeah, she had such a great, and the show was doing really well. We talked about it, man. It was giving balance. It was getting ratings. Ideologically, it was giving people things to think about, characters to relate to. And here comes Hurricane Roseanne in to just wipe everything off the face of the earth. You know, I agree with what you're saying, Rich. I do. The humor and whatever angle you want to take. But, God, how dumb do you have to be?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. This is why Doug Stanhope says, I can say anything I fucking want because no one gives a shit who I am.
Exactly.
But he's a god among comedians.
And the thing with him is people pay to go see him. They pay to go see his show knowing what it is he does. It's an individual, right? And this is a network program that's being shoved into millions of people's homes. This reflects on that. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a huge difference between Stanhope and Roseanne the comedian could do that. Roseanne the television star can't do something like that.
Or she should expect the backlash that she got.
Absolutely. I don't feel bad for her. I feel terrible that the show is off the air. I was really enjoying it. I feel terrible for John Goodman and the rest of that cast. You know, think about the kid whoever plays.
I think John Goodman least of all. He's had a career the whole time.
I feel bad for DJ. Man.
That's what I was just going to say. It's that Fishman kid. I mean, he had one more shot at being on television and being famous and doing something worthwhile in the entertainment business, right? And here comes Typhoon Roseanne. Poof, done.
Well, first Becky wasn't exactly lighting it up either.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
Well, you know, one of the articles I read is it's estimated around 150 people total are now out of work due to that show not being there. And it's like, okay, I understand that people, like the behind-the-scenes people, if you have a skill to work on Roseanne, you're going to have a skill to find another job.
You'll go work somewhere else.
Well, lots of those people are
already employed.
Well, lots of them are in unions, too. They'll be all right.
But the most telling thing, because we are like a couple weeks out from this actually happening, is the reaction from people going, well, that's what they get for associating with a known racist like Roseanne.
Exactly.
And it's like, okay, Sarah Gilbert, you think that woman's racist? I mean, seriously,
they're implying she's complicit because she went into business with this person. I guess
she's married to Linda Perry. I did not know that till this week.
Well, that's ridiculous. As on the other side, people crying about all these people that lost jobs, like, oh, you're just being reactionary to this one tweet that Roseanne had, and now all these people are out of jobs. Boo! Like this happens all the time, every fucking day.
Yeah.
Some show gets canceled somewhere. Someone loses their job.
Yeah.
And not only that, just people who don't work in Hollywood all the time. Like, what? I don't. I just. I can't have sympathy for somebody losing their job because that's just something that happens.
I do feel bad. I do feel bad for TJ though. Poor kid. Poor guy. I want to call him a kid still. He's not a kid by far, but I do feel terrible for him. He just one more day in the sun, and it turned into the early morning.
This is as ridiculous as like the whole debate over the kneeling during the anthem in the NFL.
Right. Yeah.
And they immediately go, "Oh, the troops! Oh, you're disrespecting the troops!" Like, you don't give a shit about these people otherwise, but when it serves your cause, and all of a sudden you care about best grip and the fucking grunt on the front lines.
Right.
Well, I've said it before. I'll say it again. The troops are the new Native Americans for the uber conservative people to throw up there and be like, play the game of whataboutism. You know, anytime you bring up any type of racism back in the day, it was, you don't see Indians bitching about shit.
Well,
and I mean, we fucking slaughtered them.
How come Roseanne gets fired and Samantha Bee gets to keep her job?
Because
let's start with they work for two different networks.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, one's a cable network, for fuck's sakes.
It's not like Roseanne bumped up against some law that said you can't be racist on Twitter or you lose your TV show.
Right.
The same reason Bill Maher was fired for saying, who is showing more courage? People flying a plane into a building or someone sitting behind a screen ordering a drone strike?
Right.
The same reason ABC fired him for that is because that's network television. Yep. When he went to HBO, he sat on his show and basically called himself a house Negro, and he still has a job because HBO will fucking allow that.
Those mouse
know
ears.
your audience.
Well, let's keep in mind the business model too, and this is why Roseanne was fired. I think as well, because it's advertising based networks. It's not just because they're on a network. It's ad supported. So Maher ran into issues with losing advertisers, boycotts, and all that. And the difference with HBO is it's subscriber based. Exactly. There are no commercials. There are no subscribers. It's based on subscribership. There are no advertisers. It's based on subscribers.
And believe it or not, his show, like a show like Game of Thrones, is one of the shows that when it's airing, people will pony up, what is it, the $15 a month for HBO Now or Go or whatever they changed the name to, and then cancel it when it's over with.
Sure.
HBO knows that. They're like, we're not sending that anywhere. Sorry. Hey, Maher, go out there and apologize to Ice Cube.
Right.
I know, right?
They know what their top shows are just based on the number of subscribers during that time.
Right, exactly.
During the period that season airs. That's what you're saying.
And there's this thing with HBO as well that I think, I don't know, maybe I'm speculating here and I'm kind of projecting, but I think that most people that subscribe to HBO, that if they don't like what Bill Maher is saying, they're never going to watch that show anyhow.
Exactly.
You know, it's like, for whatever reason, I think HBO viewers, it's like True Blood or Game of Thrones or whatever. If it's too gory, too nasty, too vile for your taste, you just don't watch it and you ignore it. For whatever reason, network TV doesn't get that same treatment from their viewers. They get all caught up in self-righteous outrage, you know, and have to call the sponsors and have to take Twitter and Facebook to, you know, express their holy outrage.
Because it's free, children could be watching.
Exactly. I don't know why that is. I think that's part of it, but there's some different dynamic at play when it comes to HBO and it comes to over-the-air television.
Well, the same goes for Comedy Central. Yes, Comedy Central does run commercials, but they are a cable station. And Comedy Central has The Daily Show. Samantha Bee comes from The Daily Show. They know that they lean to the left very, very openly. So they were like, okay, you shouldn't have really called her a feckless cunt.
Right.
But let's be honest, that's kind of what our fan base expects when they tune in.
Right.
That's like getting upset that you turned on the Boondocks cartoon and they said the N-word. Like,
or South Park killed a child.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the other big difference between a network and like ABC and one like HBO is that HBO looks at long-term data, like you were talking about, the number of subscribers and all that, and they don't get wrapped up in this like herd mentality when it comes to these issues. Like ABC had to respond because they knew the next thing that was coming with all these people outraged on Twitter. that would then cause nervousness in their advertisers that would then immediately pull their ad spots. So the results, the monetary results, would be immediately felt.
Right.
And even though this might just all blow over in 2 weeks, it's too late. You have to now put in long-term work to get those advertisers back to your network, which is then costing you more money just trying to get the money that you lost back.
Right. Revenue
so
preservation.
It's hard to believe. Like I don't find ABC at fault. That's the business model.
Absolutely.
This is what they're doing. ABC has the right to fire their employees the same way that Roseanne has the right to say what she wants on Twitter, and they can all reap the consequences in the free market.
Right, exactly. That's exactly right. But ABC did exactly what they had to do. They didn't. They're not at fault here. This is a Roseanne thing. Roseanne, batshit bar, whatever the fuck she calls herself now. This is all on her. She forced ABC to act, and they did what they had to do for the corporate business model to stay profitable. That's it.
Whereas if Bill Maher, goes on week after week tirades that are pissing off liberals and they stop tuning in, he will eventually lose his show on HBO because they'll no longer be making money off of him.
Case in point.
But you don't have that immediate reaction of this stuff that, Bill Maher says something, everyone gets up in arms about it, but they all come back and tune in the next week.
Right.
Well, the perfect example of what you're talking about is the Dennis Miller show on HBO post 9/11. He started showing which is funny because everybody who worked with him on the SNL, other comedians are like, he's always been a centrist. It's just, for whatever reason, he had this reputation because he went after Reagan when Reagan was in office. He also went after Clinton when Clinton was in office, but that just gets, glossed over. He started having more conservative ideas about terrorism, et cetera, and his show lasted one season after 9/11, and HBO was like, later.
Right.
Sorry. And that's why I'm glad, even though I'm like a lot of you guys on this, well, at least two of you guys on this podcast, I'm like really getting tired of social media. And I agree with Drew on the Drew and Mark podcast. Everybody has a voice, but most people need to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm glad there is an outlet such as podcast for, hey, if you want to go out there and say what you want to say, you're more than welcome to do it. And you're not beholden to anyone but yourself. And if someone gets upset, well, that's their problem. I mean, what are you going to do? You don't like something I said on Unregimented. What are you going to do about it? You're going to email Chris and tell him to fire me?
Yeah. And I'm sure there are examples out there. I don't know of any where an advertiser decided to pull their ads from a podcast because they didn't agree with the content in some way. But in general, that doesn't
Bill Burr all the time.
Right. But, okay, so there's a good example. But it doesn't happen a lot. I mean, Bill Burr is very controversial. I can imagine why it would be hard for him to hold down advertisers. But in most cases, the advertisers are coming to the podcast knowing what the content is like.
Exactly. If you listen to the older, way older Joe Rogan episodes, I think first 4 years or so, his two major sponsors were Fleshlight and something to do with some marijuana company. And I'm like, boy, they know their audience.
I know. Getting high and
jerk off.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I mean, whatever. He got paid. Now he's million downloads per episode, not including the streaming and his YouTube channel. He's making $75,000 to $100,000 per episode from what's been said. Okay, well, he pretty much says what he wants. I mean, he flat out says what he wants. Actually, I've never heard him censor himself at all.
Well, before we totally get off the Roseanne thing, I know that the network was in talks with the rest of the cast. Has anyone heard anything about them possibly doing like a continuation or spin-off show without Roseanne?
The only thing I heard is Sarah Gilbert said she would be open to the idea.
Oh, would she?
Yeah.
Really?
She's like, come on, these checks have started rolling back in. We can't kill this.
What was it?
Meanwhile, John Goodman's like, the Coen brothers wrote another role for me, so
kill me off too. Yeah, this is how they reboot it. Roseanne and brain fart. Just forgot his character's name. Goodman's character, Dan. Roseanne and Dan are driving. She's whacked out on pain pills. Boom, accident. They're both dead.
That's what I was saying.
Kids inherits the house. There you go.
Right.
Yeah. Or just have her OD. Just have her OD on the pain pills, and that's that.
Well, wasn't there a show in the 80s that, like, the female lead that it was based around left?
Oh, yeah. Valerie Harper left, so they said she died in a fire.
Oh, really?
Damn.
What was the show?
It's Valerie, and then turned into Hogan Family. That's where Jason Bateman came from.
Wait a minute, the show is called Valerie, and she was Valerie.
Yeah.
And she left, and they killed her in a fire. That's awesome.
I guess that's a perfect example of what they could do then. They should do the Connor family or whatever.
Well, then there's the classic, Good Times, where John Amos said, I want a bigger contract, and they said, yeah, you're going to die in an oil field in Alaska, and we got damn out of it. So. See, some good could come of this. Here you go, ABC. Throw us a check. We're brainstorming for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't think they're having some fun in that brainstorming episode, session where they're trying to figure out what to do if they're going to do anything? How could we kill her? Have her killed by a black guy. have her mauled by a monkey.
Not to go off on a tangent here, but Charlie Sheen was then talking about, hey, this clears the runway for our reboot. I'm like, if you guys know anything about that show, I don't know. This is only one factoid I know about that show. His character supposedly exploded. Like how are they gonna reboot that?
They could have the whole Connor family. They could write it into an episode where they go to the Lincoln Park Zoo in Chicago, and they're looking at the monkey exhibit. One breaks out. It's a chimpanzee, and it eats her face. It would be awesome.
Right. I think you could even do that. She survives it, and then replace her with what's that chick that was in the Spy movie? Never mind.
Melissa McCarthy.
Just say replace her with Melissa.
No, at this
McCarthy.
point,
awesome.
No, at this point, you got to replace her with Kathy Bates, don't you?
That was her new face. Kathy Bates is getting up there.
Space transplant.
Well, Dan would wake up and be like, Roseanne, you got younger. Okay.
He'd be like, upgrade.
Okay.
Did everything get younger?
Have the monkey mauler, and then you got this long lost cousin shows up, and that's either Melissa McCarthy or Rosie O'Donnell.
Right.
Oh God! Don't do John Goodman like that.
No, Rosie.
I think Rosie would do that role really, really well.
Oh, you bring Rosie in, and you lose all your conservatives.
Yeah, but if she pulled a Stephen Colbert, it might actually work. It might actually work.
Oh yeah.
If it was she played it with such just biting sarcasm, people would still turn in.
And she's got that sort of edge. It's a little more under control than Typhoon Rosie, but she's got that edge that Roseanne has. She could pull that anger, that sort of biting humor. She could pull that off really well. Probably better than Roseanne could at this age. Her acting skills sucked. I can tell you that.
Roseanne? Yeah.
It was just like, what the hell have you been doing in the last 20 years? You can't act anymore, woman.
Yeah.
I think because I went back and watched an episode from the first season not that long ago, and it was just a random episode, and it was an episode she's sitting at work and she's talking about men are like sprinkles on a donut. He goes, first you got to undo all this stuff.
Right.
She's pulling the sprinkles off that their mom did to them and all their past girlfriends, and I'm just like, I've heard those conversations in break rooms in factories.
Yeah.
It was delivered completely in a believable way, and it was stilted is the word that comes to mind when I think of some of the acting in the reboot.
Just wasn't good at all. I kind of, I bit my tongue out, and I didn't really want to say anything because I liked the show anyway, despite that. But that was the one thing I noticed, is that she cannot act anymore.
Well, it's like watching a Star Wars movie and expecting Shakespeare. I mean, you go back and watch Luke's delivery to Leia that she's his sister in Return of the Jedi, and it's just like it's like, oh my god, that's acting.
Like,
not to go too far. Not to go too, exactly, Chris, because that's the one thing about the Star Wars franchise I've always kind of disliked is Mark Hamill. I've never liked that character. I mean, there's just something about him as Luke Skywalker that just rubs me wrong. Even in the later ones, even in the last couple I've seen, it just, ew, no, stop.
I thought he was actually pretty good in the Last Jedi, but I think he's a far better voice actor than he is in-person actor, live actor, whatever you want to call it.
Person actor.
Oh, in-person actor. Yeah. At least we don't. I don't have to suffer. They did kill him off, right? He's dead in that, right?
Yeah, but he died in a Jedi way, so he's at least going to come back as a hologram or something.
Yeah, as a ghost, exactly.
He's going to be hanging out with Tupac.
Yeah, he and he and Obi-Wan are going to do some hologram porn. Put that in your head and chew on it, fuckers.
That's daddy porn.
I know.
From doing the new show, I've learned that's a big fetish in the gay community, like the daddy thing.
Oh my god. Just tie a popsicle around it, Daddy. He'll be okay. Anyway, did I deflate the room again?
So
no, I'm trying to think of how to go from daddy porn to Trump.
That's easy.
Jump into it. Is he above the law? Like, that's the big question right now, isn't it? We have this letter that was received from Trump's team of lawyers back when it was headed up by Ty Cobb that says that he has that you can't indict him. What you can't do is indict him for obstruction, because it's impossible for him to obstruct because he has final say on any investigation, basically. And when that was back in January, that letter was sent. It was leaked to the press this last week, and then right after that, Trump tweets out that while he claims to have no intention of doing so, he does have the power to pardon himself.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: if the laws are written as such that it turns out that the president is essentially above the law, then we need to rewrite that, because I don't think that's the concept that we have for this nation. It's just, this is something that hasn't been tested quite to this degree before.
Well, Chris brought up a very good point that I guess I was aware of on some level, but I didn't. It wasn't at the forefront of my mind when all this talk of can he pardon himself? First of all, if you pardon someone, that implies guilt. So if he's already planning that far down the road, that's, I mean, way to fucking look guilty, dude. Well, I mean, you're not exactly quieting your critics here.
Well, okay, so a pardon would come after a sentence was given to someone, so they're already found guilty. It's just a question of how just that ruling is seen as. So it doesn't necessarily imply guilt. I think to him, Trump could pardon himself and feel okay with it and probably get a lot of his followers on board with it as well, based on the fact that this is all just a witch hunt anyway. I mean, the same way that, what was the guy that he pardoned? That was, it was the, I forget what the name of the law is, but it was basically transporting a white woman across state borders.
The Chuck Berry law?
Yeah, but there was some specific gentleman that was posthumously Jack Johnson. Thank you. So, I mean, Jack Johnson was found guilty, and according to the laws of the time, he did break them. Now we look at it as an unjust law, and that's why the pardon seems reasonable for this. If you consider that the case against Trump is all a witch hunt by the deep state, then it's unjust, and he's perfectly justified in using his pardon for his own sake with a free conscience. Well, I mean, Trump's going to do whatever he wants with a free conscience. He doesn't.
That doesn't ever factor in anything he does. But the problem you're going to run into here, and goes to what we were talking about on the pre-show stuff with the religion shit, ideological religion, is that I don't think people are taking into account the precedent this is going to set. Because if you can imagine the outrage 15 years ago or 20 years ago when Bill Clinton was being impeached and he came out and he said, I'll just pardon myself. Can you imagine the holy outrage that would have been spewing forth from certain segments of the political population? Can you imagine? So if you're thinking forward, do you really, if you're a conservative, and maybe you're a Trump bot and you're a big Trumpian and all that, do you really want that precedent set for when a Democrat's in office? No.
Right.
You know, I don't think people are thinking this. I mean, this is some King George shit here. You know what I mean? I mean, we're young as a country. We've never experienced anything like this. We've never actually had or been forced into the situation where we have to evaluate whether or not our supreme leader is above the law. It's never come up. And we've never had someone in office with so little respect for the rule of law to actually come out and say, yeah, I'm going to pardon myself like a king.
Right.
And, in the long term, in the long run, as I think about it, I sit here and think about it, this could, if you want to put a positive spin on it, it could be a good thing to have this addressed now. Yes. Because moving forward, then we know how to deal with it. But we got to get through it first, and we have to get through the tribalism and the conflict and everything else that's happening between our two ideological religions, if we can survive that, of course. But this is really, it's uncharted territory.
What really gets me about this is that, yes, we should be looking to the Constitution to find an answer to this question. But it's not like the answer is hidden somewhere in the Constitution and we have to unlock it with the right lawyers, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we understand as citizens the intent of the Constitution, and we also understand that there's a reason why it's malleable, right? So if the Constitution happens to say now has somebody finds a loophole in it where they end up pardoning themselves free of consequence, well, then we're going to fix that.
Right. Well, that's the whole Jefferson. It's the Jefferson's coat thing that's on the Jefferson Memorial in D.C. If the coat doesn't fit, it's like trying to. I won't go into the whole thing, but it's basically if you don't change the Constitution, it's like trying to fit into a coat that fits you as a kid.
Right.
It's meant to be, like you said, malleable. It's meant to be fixed, adjusted, altered as people grow, supposedly grow wiser, time goes on, and we find problems.
Yeah.
I suppose, that's how it's intended.
I'd like to think that there's still a majority in this country, maybe I'm wrong, but that there's still a majority in this country that does not believe that anybody is above the law, up to and including the president.
The fanatics, man. And that's the problem, is that they have turned, and I think we did talk about this on the last podcast we all did together, is that they are Trump. They're loyal to Trump, not the party, not the country, not the Constitution, Trump. And I wish we could do a census to find out exactly how many of those people, what the exact percentage of the population that is, because that's going to be the problem.
Right. Well, I mean, certainly there seems to be something particular about Trump in this case, but I think also that if we had a Democrat in office that was undergoing this same thing, he'd have just as much rabid support from the extreme left.
Yep.
And they would be saying, oh, no, absolutely he has the right to pardon himself. This is all bullshit anyway.
Right.
And it's the extremes in the parties that have no faith in the system. Right.
Well, I think that goes beyond.
They just attach themselves to personalities.
It's not that they don't have faith in the system. They have a Messiah, and they have, again, come back to the religion thing. They have their scripture. They have their religious framework and scaffolding that they're not going to break free from. And if it's left or if it's right, it's right. You know what I mean?
They need a new daddy. Their own daddy failed them. He didn't discipline them right. He didn't talk to them about the right things. Their god daddy failed them because he turned out to be fake and full of shit.
Yeah.
So they need a new daddy. That's all it is. Please, just take care of me. Tell me what to do and think.
Yeah. That's again, I mentioned this, I think, in another podcast. I keep saying that. I should stop that. I apologize. But I mentioned it in something else, is that you can get rid of religion and you can get rid of ideology and all these belief systems, but you better be careful, because ideology will fill that vacuum. You need a religion. You need a belief structure of some sort. Nihilism doesn't work. It makes you miserable. It makes everybody around you miserable. Human beings are hardwired genetically and biologically to require something to follow. If you don't believe me, all you have to do is open your damn eyes and look around. People need that, or they dry up, shrivel, die, kill people or themselves. It's simple. So you take religion out of the equation, where it's something that's extra governmental. You eliminate that, and then you open the door wide open, as Stalin did, for ideology to replace and supplant religion as the guiding force in people's minds and in the culture. That's dangerous as hell. That's where totalitarians and dictators and all this other stuff comes from, because you have this sole, undying, unbreakable belief in quote unquote God. Stalin, Hitler, insert dictator here. Mm-hmm. That's the problem, and that's where we are, really. I mean, you're absolutely right. If this were, switched to a batshit leftist in the White House, the people on the far left, not even the far left, I think you could include some of the normal left into that, would undyingly follow the Messiah and believe that he can do no wrong. He's infallible. Just like the people on the far right. And that's the problem we have.
Right. With this, they may not purely believe it, but they convince themselves of it because they understand that this is the person that we need right now, right?
Functionally, there is no difference.
Right. 100%. I'm with you on that. The end result is absolutely the same.
Yep.
But they're just lying to themselves, really.
Well, people are good at that. Anyway, yeah, it's I kind of hope, I'm trying to keep a positive, optimistic viewpoint on all this, and this may be, like I said, it could be a learning experience for us, that we know how to handle this moving forward, and maybe, just maybe, I can't think this, because this is what I thought with Trump and his candidacy, that no, we're not going to let that happen. But maybe the Republicans, or enough of them, will, stand up and say, no, you can't do that. You can pardon himself, but we can impeach you.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting. It's one of those things I'd like to think, and history would say that, yeah, his own party would probably turn on him in that instance. But if they haven't yet, I don't know why that would be the turning point.
I think we care too much about winning now, and I can see them going, yeah, all right, cool, whatever. As long as we come on the winning side, fuck it, cool.
We can't alienate the Trumpians. Then what do we got? Then we got a Democrat president. That's exactly what they're going to say.
Right.
And that's the problem. It's not the government, man. It's not the parties, and it's not the people, not the politicians. It's us. That's the problem here.
Well, think about what the Republicans were like before Trump as well. This was a party that was sustained by old white people that were dying at a faster rate.
God, guns, and country.
And they started looking around to appeal to other groups of people to stiffen up their base some, and they reached out to women, binders full of women, in fact, and got shut down. They reached out to black people, and they only came away with Kanye, apparently.
Yeah, they're coming away with more than him. But,
I know I'm oversimplifying it, but this is a party that was grasping at straws. So
and they hold both majorities in the White House. They did something.
Absolutely.
So whatever they did, I'm not going to say it worked. I don't want to act like I'm giving the stamp of approval here, but it did.
They alienated Whitey.
Yeah, and I think the far left is just as much to blame for that as anything. Where's the alternative? Where's the sensible alternative here? Hillary? Come on. No, I was not with her. I will never be with her. So, lots of problems out there. I don't, and the thing is, it comes to a point where you have to start looking towards solutions and how to solve it. I got no idea. I don't.
We could crowdfund a tractor beam to pull an asteroid towards the planet.
There you go. Now we're talking like legitimate, reasonable solutions. It's the most sensible thing I've heard in a month.
I mean, I find myself thinking things like the best case scenario for this country is that we have to see this Trump presidency through.
Yeah.
That we've gotten this far. It would be a waste not to at least see what the limits of our current system is so we know what to do going forward.
We're almost halfway there. We're not dead yet.
There's an element, though, to this where, I tend to take this sort of an not existentialist, transcendentalist viewpoint on a lot of things anymore over the last year or so after reading Emerson. And if you look at natural law, and I know this sounds kind of fruity, but if you look at it, you adapt or die. That's the fundamental foundation of nature, right? It is what drives evolution. It's what drives the species, what drives everything. And as a country, if we can't get through this, if we can't adapt in a sustainable way, there is no saying that we're entitled to stay living. If you look at it through that the sort of a naturalist lens, we have to do this, or we are going to go away. It's simple. I mean, we may end up breaking into 15 different countries, and maybe the United States doesn't go away, but maybe it becomes like Italy to Rome. Something will happen, though, and this is like a litmus test. That, okay, we have a challenge here. What are we going to do? How are we going to, as a species, as a collective nationalist species, how are we going to adapt to it? How are we going to adapt to it? Or are we just going to dig our heels in and basically tear each other's throats out until we're all bleeding in the ditch? How is this going to happen?
And the people who claim to be the most patriotic in this country are the ones who are probably doing the most damage long term, because if you just believe that this country was given to you by God, that we're a world power that dominates like it does because God willed it, and it had nothing to do with any decisions that our politicians made or anything, we're going to be number one no matter what. It's like being, what do they call those extreme religious fanatics that won't even take their kids to the hospital when they're sick? Their kid's going to end up dying.
Yeah, my friend Chris is one of those.
It's all in God's hands, right?
Right. I got to take exception with that a little bit, because I think that when you say they're mostly to blame, the nationalists, I don't know that that's true. I'm not saying it's not true, but I think that you have to have a sense of national cohesion and identity. You have to have that. You have to have a sense of commonality. And the people on the left who will proverbially and literally burn the flag and say everything about this country is terrible, and that just pick some cliche of choice that comes from the left that condemns who we are as a nation. That's just as destructive, I think, in my view, to the national unit, the organism, as believing that everything that the United States does is, inspired by God and therefore right. I don't think those two are, I think there's a balance there. Neither one of those two things are really helping anything. And I think that if you'd want to destroy, imagine like you're a family. Imagine you're a family and you've got somebody who comes into the family and starts talking bad about to your sister, to your brother, to your mom, to your dad, to your cousins, and starts to sort of sow division within the family, and you get at each other's throats. How is that going to work out? That's what I see coming from the left. So I don't know.
Right. I see your point, but I guess it doesn't seem as bad as the blindly patriotic to me, because it's at least they're challenging something. I mean, I may not agree with it, but
there are elements on that side of the conversation. I understand what you're saying. I agree with you. I think that in a lot of ways there are a lot of people, and I don't want to get too generalized here, a lot of people on the left who legitimately want to improve things. But there are a lot of folks over there that the Antifa folks and other parts of the very, very far left that want to tear the capitalist system down completely. There are increasing numbers of people who go to these marches who are actually pro-communist. It's not out of the realm of acceptability to wear the hammer and sickle on your face now.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that's not, that goes back. There was plenty of people supporting the left at the Berkeley riot that happened over a garbage can. That they were wearing openly the hammer and sickle, smash capitalism, smash patriarchy, smash all this. And they connect it all in their head. And their attitude is there is no saving the system as is.
Right.
We just have to tear it down and then guarantee equality of outcome for all. And it's like, how the fuck can you do that?
What would you call that? What would you call that utopia if you had to give it a name?
Fantasy Island?
Communism. It is communism.
No, I know. I understand what you're saying, but I mean, the problem is I pose this to this question to so many people over the years. I am very much a result-based person. I don't give a fuck what it's called as long as it works. If it's going to work and it's working, leave it alone. But you need to show me a track record that says this can work. And in smaller societies and smaller groups, basically commune-type size groups, couple hundred people tops, yeah, it'll work. 370 million or whatever we have in this country? No, it's not going to work. It's not going to work.
It can only work in groups of 150 people. Outside of that, it just becomes a blur. We stop seeing people as others. If you're in a group of less than 150 people in a small community like that, you get to know everyone. You think of every person as an individual with individual rights. That's why, and once you start getting over that number, you need systems to keep things in place and go, hey, keep in mind, you may not know your neighbor, but he has just as many rights as you do.
You see, when you're in a group that small and smaller, you see people as sort of an extended family.
Yeah.
Member of your tribe.
Right.
And you get beyond that, then you start looking for the other.
Yeah. And that's why you have religion and now governments, I guess, that's replacing that.
Right.
Well, let's
to
also
have that bigger family to be a part of.
Let's also not forget that I believe the average historically for most empires' lifespan is around 250 to 300 years. And according to a school of thought that makes a lot of sense to me, the 5 stages of an empire, we're definitely in stage 5, decline and legacy. This is America as being the world power is coming to an end. Period. We all know money runs. We all know money runs the government. There are 5. The major banks have 5 lobbyists for every congressman. How can the people combat that? They can't. Okay, so we're going to stop being country, beat our chest proud, and we're just going to be one big corporation eventually. And whatever they can milk out of us, whatever resources that these corporations can get out of us, they're going to just suck us dry. I mean, it doesn't matter what country you're in at that point. It doesn't matter what imaginary line you live on the side of.
Well,
because it's going to be money talks.
Let's not try to victimize ourselves here too much, because a lot of these we're doing this willfully. They're making us fat. They're making us comfortable. We have a standard of living and a level of comfort in our lives that is off the map historically. We're not exactly being drugged by a chain around our neck into this situation. You know, with technology and phones and it's just, you can, I guess, look at it across the whole social spectrum. How comfortable. We like our plush little cage. It's not just them. They're doing it because we're letting them. We're following that breadcrumb trail willingly.
Well, and why I agree completely, what is the option? Bloody revolution?
Yeah.
Well
yeah.
No,
that's exactly. If you look back historically, if you want to, now if we're having a historical context conversation here, that's exactly what Rome was afraid of in their decline. That the mob would take to the streets and basically rip their heads off and put them on stakes. It's either that or it's piecemeal reform. Take your pick.
Mm-hmm.
And to have that kind of reform, it doesn't start with the government. It starts with us. We have to change the attitudes we have toward materialism, comfortism, and tribalism. I can probably list 53 isms here. I won't. I'm merciful. But That's where it has to start. It's not going to be dictated and legislated. And it's not going to be a group of activists marching on Washington, D.C. or the state capitol in Lansing imposing this upon people. That'll never work. People will go, even if it's the right thing to do, people will go against that just simply because they will not be forced to do something they choose not to do.
I think if we're looking at this historically, it's certainly foolish to disregard history altogether. At the same time, I don't know if you can apply that as a template to what we're experiencing. I think a good part of the reason for the success of this country is because it is almost the next step in evolution for what a country can be. And the fact that it can literally evolve on its own. Many of these systems fell because they were too rigid, too tied to certain ideals.
Wait, but let's not forget. We're not the only country that's doing this. China is just draining Africa of its natural resources the same way we do the Middle East. What I'm saying is this isn't us only. This isn't an American creation. This is greed run amok, and the people at the top don't give a shit about what country you're from. Can you put more money in their pocket? That's what they care about. And that's a very scary thing, because the less upward mobility you have, the less of an opportunity you have to move up, to join, to get to the next step, the next level, if you want, of the pyramid, the less power you have. And it's going to get to the point where what's going to happen? People, yeah, it's wonderful right now. Our standard of living is as high as it's ever been in recorded history. I absolutely understand that. At the same time, people are getting tired of working 3-4 jobs to fucking equal what used to be one job. And they're going to continue to get tired of it. People are going to get tired of politicians passing laws that lobbyists have paid them basically to pass that fuck them over. I mean, it's the infamous quote. It's capitalism for the poor. It's socialism for the rich. Mm. And we're starting to have people on both sides who are waking up to this. The problem is they can't agree on what to do. That's where you get anger. You get Antifa. You get the white people who are, I will not be replaced. That's all fucking, that's window dressing on a house that's on fire.
It's, to me, from what I see anyway, and from what I see outside of social media, it's a drop in the necessary bucket. There's this whole thing that Che Guevara used to say, that revolutions without guns don't work and fat people don't revolt. People who are fed don't revolt. They won't. They're comfortable. They're not going to go out and do what's necessary to overthrow a system, possibly get shot, possibly die, possibly watch their friends and family die in the streets as they oppose the power structure. They do not do that unless they're starving. Simple. And as long as people are comfortable, as long as people are fed, whether or not they got to work 2 or 3 jobs, they're not starving. They're not going to do. And I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, Rich. I'm trying to keep it in the I guess the practical aspect, like what are people and what would it take for people to do something actually tangible enough to break and then rebuild the system. We do not have any of those elements in place here. They're going to go to Twitter and they're going to show their outrage on Twitter. They're going to go carry signs in Washington, D.C., and then they're going to go back to their 2 or 3 jobs and not put their asses on the line because, you know what, it's not worth it.
And that's the scariest part of this entire thing. The way historically change has been brought about is almost all but off the table at this point because of everything you just said. So what does that leave?
It takes us back to what Aaron was saying.
Oh, okay.
It takes us right back to takes us right back to what you were saying. You were running down a really good path there for a second, Aaron, because we are at a point in history that nobody has ever been here before. So we're either going to prove, I think it was Plato or Aristotle, one of the two, when democracy was first conceived in Greece, one of them said it will not work. They just flat out said it's never going to work because it's going to be taken over by oligarchs. Mm-hmm. The powerful, the rich. They're going to control everything, and democracy will fail. You can go read it. You have to figure out who said it. I forget.
Right. No matter how you divvy up power, they're going to find a way to accumulate it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if in a capitalist system, I mean, look at the cell phone companies. This is just a very broad but really good, I think, telling example. How many phone companies did we have 15 years ago? As companies make more money and as companies get more powerful, they start buying up things. And all of a sudden you have less choice. I think you can apply that across the board. You can apply that to lobbying / corruption. You know, as these companies get more powerful, the gun lobby is a perfect example. As the gun lobby gets more powerful, it has more control. It gobbles up our representation. This is exactly what I think they were talking about in ancient Greece. So to take it back to your point, Aaron, we are at a point that there is no roadmap here. We can look to history a little bit, but nobody's ever been here. And what we do, and I think it ties into the Trump thing, I think it ties into a lot of things we're talking about, what we do from this point forward is going to decide whether or not we evolve or die as a country. And nobody knows. There is no roadmap here, kids. None.
Right, because we're experiencing this. This is an exponential uptick in what we're experiencing. It's like technology. You know, it's why it's so difficult to predict what technology is going to come down the line, because you only have the past to look to.
Right.
And meanwhile, the graph in front of you, from your perspective, might as well be going straight up.
That's exactly right. And to expound on your technology point, look at the internet. I mean, what has ever affected people? And the way people share information, form their views, the way this thing that we're communicating on right now has done. Mm-hmm. Yeah, how do you factor that into history? How do you add that to the equation? You can't. Right. Maybe the Gutenberg, but I mean that was a drop in the bucket again, a drop in the ocean compared to what this is doing.
As a quick aside, if anyone listening is interested in what we're talking about right now, highly recommend Stephen Fry's podcast called Great Leap Years is what it's called. And I think he has 8 episodes. Each one covers a certain technology. I think the first one was the Gutenberg press.
Yeah.
And it just explores that, not only the actual history of making it, but what its effect had on technology going forward. And each episode goes forward but ties everything from the previous episodes together.
I would highly recommend also down that line and in that vein, The Shallows by Nicholas Carr. It's a book. Get it on Amazon. It's a bestseller, but it goes into that technological, how it changes people, how technology changes the culture in ways that cannot be predicted.
Right. Well, that was what was kind of blowing my mind about the episode that he had on the Gutenberg press. He was talking about all this language that they had for this process, and he was tying it directly into phrases that we still use today, not even knowing what they mean.
Right.
To be in a certain caste, to be typecast.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember some of the others, but it's so ingrained into our culture now, and that's a perfect example of how technology is changing us in ways that we don't even understand.
Yeah.
We don't.
Go back. I'm just going to add. Sorry about that, but I was just going to add that if you check out Nicholas Carr, also Marshall McLuhan. I mean, he wrote the Bible on this back in the '60s, and I'm drawing a blank on the name of the damn book. Sorry, but Marshall McLuhan's the author's name. It's a seminal work on how technology and culture interact in ways that you are not even aware of, and how it changes people. So,
well. So I guess the only question is, like, can people organize for their own purposes to wrestle back power?
Probably. That's the thing. And Jordan Peterson goes into Advantage. No, that isn't Jordan Peterson. I'm actually reading Dostoevsky. I think it's Dostoevsky or however you say it. It's a Russian writer from the 1800s. Right. I'm reading Notes from the Underground. And fantastic, quick read, by the way, you guys. I highly recommend it. It's awesome. But he's talking about, and it was something that I was talking about a moment ago, where people do not always act to their own advantage. They do what the fuck they want, whether it's in their best interest or not. And there's an aspect, a psychological aspect, that human beings need struggle. They need to fight for something. I personally think it's something that stems back thousands of years to when we were fighting in the jungle and we had this survival instinct that we had to struggle against nature, against beasts and other people. It's still in there. So when people have things too well in order, they look for ways to sabotage that whole nirvana just so they have something to fight and work towards. People do this on an individual level all the fucking time. All the time. It's like you guys have seen The Matrix, right? And you know where Agent Smith is sitting there talking to Neo or Morpheus, one of the two, and they're saying the first incarnation of the Matrix, they made everything perfect. And the people rebelled against it. They hated it. They couldn't accept that everything was perfect. And that's exactly what I thought of when I was reading that book. Because people do that. And I think that, to go back to your question, that will people act to their advantage? That's how he put it in Notes from the Underground, is their advantage or in their best interest. I don't think so. I think people will do what the hell they want to do just so they feel like they're still an individual.
Well, it's like the first story was about, right? Adam and Eve. That's like, look, you got everything you fucking want, the best of all the world right here at your fingertips.
Wasn't good enough.
Just don't eat that apple.
Yeah.
Don't partake of the knowledge.
It's a really interesting thing, though. If you gotta, I think rather than, if we're talking about solutions, Rich, going back to what you were talking about, what the alternatives are, it's not an institutional structural thing. It has to come from us. And I think we need to take into account human nature, human psychology, not how we want it to be and not how maybe we think we are on the surface, but how people actually behave, what human nature actually entails. And that's the problem.
Isn't that why Jordan Peterson pisses so many people off?
Yes.
That's really what he's talking about, right?
Yes.
Not operating in ideals and trying to shape everything to what you believe it should be.
Yes. That man scares the living piss out of the left, and he should.
Right.
He absolutely should.
This is something that Adam Carolla and Dr. Drew would talk about all the time, going all the way back to Loveline, is I think the phrase they used for it was a polar bear is a polar bear. Like, you have to study the polar bear, not as what you want that to be, but how it acts. That's how you get to know. He's like, you can, in relation to people, because they get all these calls from people that have problems, and all they're looking at is, look, there's a pattern here. If somebody calls and they say this and this happened to me, well, you're probably that. Doesn't mean all of them are, right? But if I study the polar bears and all of them do this and they're healthy and a few of them do that and they're not, right? Well, I'm not making personal judgments on each polar bear and trying to interview them for their motivations. I'm just looking at raw data.
You know what you did? You brought up the Scientologists earlier. And that's exactly what they do. They want God to be in charge and not the Scientologists. God damn it. I thought it was the Scientologists. The ones Jesus will get rid of my kids' chicken pox people. Whoever they are. What the fuck are they? Chris, Google that.
I don't know what to call
Christian Scientists?
Christian Scientists. There we go. Thank you.
Is that really?
Yeah, they're the people that believe that God heals everything and you don't need doctors, but they're trying to operate under the belief, under the utopia, what they want to happen. They want God to take care of them when they get sick. That's not how it works. That's not reality. They're not operating on what is. They're operating on what they want, and that's why kids die.
A lot of the issues that I have with people when they start taking Peterson to task is I go, what is your issue with him? And it's always one or two issues. It's the Bill C-16, he was against compelled speech by the Canadian government, or they feel that he's some sort of wolf in sheep's clothing from the alt-right, trying to play a centrist to pull in people basically like a few of us on this podcast, that people that feel that we didn't walk away from the left abandoned us, looked at us and said, you're no longer needed. And I'm like, okay, all right, well, those two things aside, is it really that, or is it because he gives, and you can go on YouTube and watch any number of lectures he's given at classes, some of these going back to the 90s, you could tell by his sweet hockey hair, and where he's breaking it down and he's explaining, we do not practice what you don't want to become. Because once you set those neural pathways, they're very hard to change, and it's almost impossible. The best you can do is put something there to inhibit this behavior that you've basically trained yourself to do, and you get a little high every time you do it. You know, it's like a comedian. Someone laughs, makes him feel good, so he goes for the next laugh. And he says things like stress, mental illness, etc., will short circuit these inhibitors that you've installed in there. So it's important not to get ingrained in these bad habits in the first place. All of that is, to me, just common sense. So at some point, it's, how dare you make me take personal responsibility for anything I've done?
Right.
That's the attitude I get from it.
That's it exactly. That's it exactly in a nutshell. Yeah.
As if everything is fated and we have no say in what happens. And this is coming from people who don't believe in God for the most part. And I'm like, you're spouting the same bullshit I heard in fucking Sunday school.
Yeah. I just finished Peterson's 12 Steps book. I spent the last couple of weeks, actually, I started after our last joint podcast and then finished it last week. And that book rattled me a little bit, simply because of what you were talking about right there. It's a book that is designed to get you to grab the wheel of your own life and quit blaming everybody else for where you're at. It's a really simple, basic, a fundamental idea, and it's stuff that, you know, a lot of people in self-help groups and substance abuse groups and all this outside of AA preach. You know, yeah, maybe you were a victim. Shit happens. Shit happens to everybody. When are you going to stop blaming something else and actually take control and responsibility for your own life, right? And one of the things that really struck me and really hit me like a sledgehammer in my head out of that book was, you know what? Get your own life in order before you start telling other people how to live. If you can't get your own damn life in order, even on a basic sense, even in a basic fundamental sense, who the hell are you to step up and start telling people how to run a city or a community or a country or a belief system? If you can't do that, you have no cause to stand. And it just hit me like a thunderbolt, because that's what we have, an epidemic of that now. That people who will take to the internet or wherever else, take to the streets, acting like they've got everything figured out, acting like they're perfect, acting like they are a pristine, all-knowing being that has the solution for everything. But if you were to dig deep into the marrow of who they are, the fundamental basis or core of their lives, if you could see it, if they didn't hide it from you, you'd find some of the most disgusting, just out of control people in their own lives. Who the hell are they to tell anybody else how to live?
I agree with the sentiment up to a point, because you're going to have people that are going to take it too far, and they're going to say, "Oh, so you can't criticize anyone until you're perfect." And it's like, right. No. And you're going to have people. Here's the beauty of perception. You're going to have people that are going to take it too far and say that sarcastically, and people that are going to take it too far and say it earnestly.
Remember the Dennis doctrine?
Yes.
Fuck those people. You can't please everybody.
One of the best pieces of advice I had ever had from a friend was regarding addiction. And he said, "Look, I don't give a shit. I'm not going to sit here and argue with you whether it's a disease, it's a choice. I don't give a shit. The point is, some people can't stop at one or two. Once you identify that in yourself, yeah, you may not be responsible for the wiring in you that reacts differently to drugs or alcohol than the average person, but you are responsible
for your behavior,
for the care of that. Yeah, exactly. For how you react to that.
Yeah, you're responsible whether or not you take that first drink.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're in control of yourself before the first drink. So you lose control after 4. How did you get to 4? Whose fault was that? Did the beer jump up in your hand with a gun and shove it down your throat?
Exactly. And that is, for some reason, that to me at least, piece of common sense that I grew up being told, and everyone pretty much for the most part seemed to agree on, is now it's just as bad as getting up and screaming racial epithets in the middle of the street. Yeah. It's, how dare you say that? That is such hateful and hurtful language you're using. What is wrong with you? And it's like, so what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to just fucking go, well, it's not my fault. Pass me the fucking rig and I'll tie off and fucking slam it right here because it's not my fault. I can't help it.
It's not that simple either. I mean, what we normally see from people who abuse drugs in some way is some history of abuse. So just like Jordan Peterson was saying that, things that stress you out in your life make it hard to put those blockers against your own normal hardwired self-destructive behavior. This is a perfect example of that. I mean, sure that it's a choice to have those few drinks to get to that place where you are no longer in control. But it's really difficult to make that choice.
Well, who else is going to do it for? Who else is going to do it though? No. That's the thing. You've got to take responsibility for that. And it's a dragon, man. It's huge and it's big and it's nasty and it breathes fire. But you got to slay it, or it's your life. You have to do it. Nobody else can do that for you. And that's, I think, the crux of where Peterson was coming from with a lot of this stuff is that you have got to attack that. You can't contract that out to somebody else. You can't blame somebody else. You've got to do it, or else your life doesn't mean enough to you and it's going to end.
Well, I mean, even if you do have somebody that you could directly point at and say, you abused me and ruined my life, there's still the question. I mean, that's not a solution, right?
That's fantastic. At least a lot of people don't even have that, to be honest with you.
But it's still no solution to move forward.
No, you're still at the wheel, man.
Right.
You're still at the wheel of your life, one way or another. And it comes down to, I don't want to sound too cold about this, but I think it does go back to that dentist thing that I keep talking about, that, your life has to mean something. You have to care enough for yourself and your family, your children, your well-being. Whatever purpose you have or may potentially find at some point, you've got to care enough about that to take care of yourself. And if you don't, I'm sorry, it goes back to the transcendentalists and the law of nature. If you can't do that, you are going to cease to exist at some point. And the world will go on. Millions of people have done that. Millions of people have died because they did not give a shit enough about themselves to take control of their lives and make it better. The world won't skip a beat when you're gone, kids. This is you.
And see, that's something that I am insanely aware of, and I just don't give a shit.
Right.
I don't know any other way to put it.
What do you do?
The world doesn't care about me as a person. I totally understand that. I'm not angry about that because for the most part, I don't give a fuck if most of the world can live forever or drop dead right now, and it will not affect me one bit. Period. That is the reality of life. And this bullshit, I'm about to get on the Bill Hicks bandwagon or soapbox, this bullshit backslapping, aren't we neat? No, the fuck we're not. We're horrible creatures for the most part, especially when you get us into a mindless horde. We do horrible shit and justify it and rationalize it. And we turn a blind eye to the reality of the world that we created, and we don't give a shit.
Again, I'll take you back to the Jordan Peterson book. He gets into that a lot. He gets into that a ton, and it's people are split species. We have this thing about us where we're capable of. It's like in the movie Contact, where Jodie Foster's sitting there chatting with dear old dad, and he's like, "You guys are capable of beautiful things and such horrible evils." It's the duality. It's the biblical sort of parable. The devil and God they both reside within us. We are capable. I mean, we're not. It's really, to me, I think it's dangerous, and I've changed a little bit in this. It may surprise you to say it. I don't want to say that we're a terrible, nasty-ass species, because we do some wonderful things, and we have a lot of potential, but there's this strain inside of us that does exactly what you're talking about, we have a tendency to do brutal, evil things to each other. And I think that I don't want to hijack the conversation in another direction, but this takes me back to where I was personally wrong about theology, because that is the thing that keeps that evil string, keeps that devil on the shoulder in check. That's why people need it, because each and every one of us inside of us has the capability for good and the capability for evil. And a lot of people need that structure and that guidance system to stay sort of on the right path. Without it, what do you got?
Right.
What do you have?
if you've outgrown,
yeah,
No, that's,
if you've outgrown religion, more power to you. But if you're just having it stripped away from you, the state is not going to be a reasonable replacement.
No. Ask Stalin about that. Go read the Gulag Archipelago.
I think another problem we have, except for in ever-shrinking intellectual circles at least, is that, especially in pop culture, especially in Western pop culture, we fetishize youth. We act like everything sacred and important comes from young people, and somehow out of the mouths of babes, and all this shit.
When I was young, I didn't know dick. I don't know dick now, but I at least know that I don't know dick.
That's wisdom.
Having what is it? The true knowledge is knowing that you know nothing. Dude, that's us.
That's Socrates, bitch. Yeah.
That's Socrates. But, I mean, over Memorial Day, like HBO does, and I think it's HBO every year, they run the Band of Brothers miniseries. And instead of really focusing, because I've seen it more than a few times, instead of really focusing on the flashback parts, I really listened to what the actual veterans were saying. And I found online where someone edited together all the actual interviews with the real people that were there. And you heard these men saying things like, I sometimes think back and I wonder, when I was there, it was, fuck these Krauts, they're the worst, Germans are the worst people in the world. Sometimes I think, well, he's just a soldier doing his job. If it wasn't for this war, we might have actually been friends. We might have went hunting, fishing together, whatever. You never hardly hear that type of insight from a young person going through the shit. That's only wisdom that comes from looking back and reflecting on it. And for some reason, and just to give an example, that gets ignored. It's like in the world of popular music. Once you reach a certain age, all of a sudden they slap you with the term dated, and you're no longer relevant. Because, everybody knows the best albums of anybody's career is their first, 4 or 5. And then it just becomes, I'm just writing this album to cash a check. And that's backwards from historically a lot of cultures, where the older you were, the wiser you were, the more experienced you were, the more your opinions and the higher they were held and the more they were revered. And it's just something that blows my mind. Because as someone who's entering and very comfortably in the middle of middle age for the average life expectancy, no one really gives a shit what people our age has to say for the most part. Unless we're voting with our dollars.
Well, I wonder if it has something to do with having a useful megaphone in young people. Because young people are typically malleable. They don't have a lot of life experience to go by. They're easily convinced one thing or another. They're just not that wise, to be honest with you. And I wonder if it's really easy.
Distracted by the shiny objects.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's really easy to sort of puff them up with this notion that, glorifying youth and glorifying the voice of the young, because they can be shaped to basically spout what you tell them to spout.
Yeah.
And you can encourage that. It reminds me of these the Parkland kids. They think they're all knowing and all wise. They're 18-year-old dipshits who are basically megaphones for the anti-gun lobby.
Absolutely. I mean, when you sit and listen to David Hogg give one of his speeches at like the one of the rallies that he was at, it is a completely different person that is talking when you see someone shooting cell phone video of him sitting at a kitchen table having a conversation with people. He talks like a normal 17. Fuck these adults. They're so stupid. What's scary about that is that when you get to talking to some of the younger people and their attitude is like, I don't want to know that shit. It's not even apathy. It's just, I don't want to. That's old shit. I don't care.
Willful ignorance.
And one of the things I explained to a coworker one time, I said, what are you going to do when you're 40 and some 15-year-old walks up to you and says, 2 + 2 = 5 because I said so. And your opinion is rooted in ignorance and hatefulness because you're this old, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
what are you going to fucking do?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How are you going to handle that? And with all the arrogance and wonderful ignorance of youth, I heard that'll never happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they'll just have an implant in their VR that just filters out everyone above 30. They won't even see them.
Like that
Here's like barking dogs or something.
It'll be like that John Hamm Black Mirror episode where they can just block us in real life.
Right.
We're just a blob. They don't even see us as human anymore.
Ooh,
Tiled out.
What's that called? I want to see that.
It's just cat videos.
Yeah.
That was that from the last season of Black Mirror?
That was their Christmas episode. It's on Netflix.
That I think came out between the seasons. Yes.
Yeah, okay. It's I believe the episode's titled White Christmas. I believe. Don't hold me to it, but it's the only one with John Hamm in it. So, pretty easy to look up if you're interested in seeing it. It is really, it's kind of scary how much I've watched that show, and I've been like, that's a little too on the nose for me.
It's what I like about that whole program. What I've seen of it.
Well, the whole oh shit, who's Opie's kid? The actress.
Todd has no time for pretense.
Yeah,
I know what I'm talking about.
From Jurassic Park. I forget her name, but she has the episode where basically your whole life it revolves around your personal rating.
Oh, I've seen that one.
Other people.
And then in China,
she's supposed to go to the wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to have over a certain rating to get certain things, or if you go to rent a car and your rating's not high enough, you get a shit car, and you can't live in certain areas, etc. It's basically a social credit rating. And you now have China talking about implementing something along those lines, to where if you don't have a high enough rating, well then you can't fly because we don't know that you're going to behave yourself on a plane. Let's be honest here. The vast majority of people behave themselves.
Let's not be hasty.
I knew Chris was going to perk up on that one. But Chris, honestly, besides bitching, griping, complaining, the vast majority of people are not being drug off of planes against their fucking will while screaming. Let's be honest.
No, of course not.
I've seen that in 5 years. I've taken hundreds of flights. I'm not trying to brag, just trying to bring perspective to it.
Ooh!
No, but I'm just saying, I've never seen, where I've seen someone dragged off a plane? On a YouTube video.
Exactly.
Okay, let me interject. I've flown twice this year down to Peru, and I've seen it once. It actually happened down in Peru. I have video.
You're saying
I can give you the video.
Chance of it happening.
If you're flying between the days December 15th and December 31st of 2017, yes. But I'll put the video together just for you now, Chris. I have it. I filmed the whole thing on my iPhone, and it's glorious.
Were they being drunk and belligerent?
No, they were.
Put it this way: what the narrative was always, it happened for no reason. Did somebody just walk up and drag this person off of the plane?
No, they had too many bags, and they didn't want to check.
Steward is going down the aisle, going eeny, meeny, miny,
yeah.
mo.
No, with a bat over her shoulder and a red neck.
Nothing like that. This dipshit actually ran and shoved one of the gate attendants because down there.
You go. There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Exactly. And then he sits down, and they come. Of course, they're going to take him off the damn plane now, right? Why is he rushing past the gate attendant? They better take him off the plane. And he just sits there because there's this law in Peru, apparently, that for whatever reason, at least in Iquitos, that the police cannot touch you. They cannot physically touch you. So all he had to do was sit in his seat and not move. We sat there for an hour, them trying to talk him off the plane. And you know what they did? They came up and they deplaned everyone back into the terminal. And all of a sudden, lo and behold, it took them 5 minutes to, quote unquote, convince him to get off that
got
plane.
Rid of all the witnesses.
Yes, that's exactly what they did. There was no blood scene. I don't know what they did, but I'm assuming a taser probably had something to do.
That's just always been my gripe with all this stuff. Is like it's not like someone just showed up. It ain't like it's the second or third time. It's usually by like time 30, they're finally going, all right, motherfucker, you gotta go.
Right.
But they don't tell you that part.
I'm going to do that video for you, Chris. You'll love it.
But honestly, getting back to the point I was making, as much as we bitch and complain about the shit you have to go through when you travel, especially if you're flying, especially if you remember pre-9/11 days, that's fucking well. That's part of it. We absolutely have a right to bitch and complain and be like, this is horse shit. What we don't have a right to do is fuck up everybody else's traveling experience because we want to act like jackasses.
Yes.
And act like somehow we're above the law. And most people understand that.
Stop making me late because you want to take a stand.
Right.
And that's...
Got shit to do.
That's the scary part. And the even scarier part of that idea of a social credit rating is how many people would go, no, I'm not, it'll never happen. And then you start to explain in certain situations, this would happen, this person wouldn't be allowed here. Then you'd be like, oh, wait a minute. So you have to have a social credit rating over X to be able to shit out little miracles?
Hey, you got that shit on ride sharing. Like not only the drivers have the ratings, passengers have ratings too.
Oh, yeah. I rated a bitch 0 stars the other day because she made me go through the McDonald's drive-through.
Here's a creepy thought for you. And imagine, you're talking about China. But imagine that in sort of I don't know if they're totalitarian. I've never been there. But imagine that put to use in a totalitarian place. What are you going to do, or what are the chances, or what are the possibilities of coming up with things you can do to, quote unquote, re-educate people with a low credit rating? What happens when you define and
Clockwork Orange?
Designate these people as antisocial? How do you re-socialize them?
I think the scarier question is there is a interest, and it's a monetary one, in not re-socializing these people, to have a permanent underclass to scare the shit out of the people who are thinking about, this is a dumb system, but I really don't want to end up like that person. That's a useful deterrent. I mean, that's an old George Carlin bit. The middle class are there to prop up the rich, and the poor are there to scare the shit out the middle class to keep propping up the rich.
Well, it kind of ties into what I was saying. If you throw these people into camps, re-education camps, re-socialization camps, and you hear the horror stories come out of that, that sort of adds to the impetus to not be one of them, doesn't it?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, if you take but jail is a very good deterrent.
Well,
sometimes. You get people that are like, jail, 3 hots in a cot, and I can pretty much do what I want. All right, that's right. But those are God. I don't know if I have this much faith in humanity left. I hope those are in the very, very minority. But, some days I'm like, if it wasn't for the threat of jail, wasn't it Dostoevsky that went into that in Crime and Punishment, that if it wasn't for the threat of jail, most people would, to do the right thing because you know it's the right thing to do morally is not the same as doing the right thing because you're afraid if you do the wrong thing, you go to jail.
Right.
It's a coward's way out.
Right.
And I would like to think there are more of the type, the first example than the second, but I gotta wonder sometimes.
There are a lot more. There are. I haven't. I get cave thinking when I'm here. When I'm not out traveling and doing things out of the house. And when I'm here, I take that viewpoint as well. But I know from experience, and some pretty intense experiences, that most people out there, the vast, vast majority of people out there, are just decent people trying to get through their day. They're not looking to, break the law and wish they could go out and steal something, but won't because the only reason is they're not going to go to jail. Most people are fine.
Like I said, I hope. Yeah. I'm like Red at the end of Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, we always sort of perceive what we aim at. And we manifest in front of us what we're looking at. And it's real easy, to focus on all that stuff and to go on social media and assume that everybody's a fucking moron and this and this. But, you get into the organic world and you actually start looking at people and not doing it through, a sort of a negative lens. If you can do it through something as close to objective as you can find, or actually start looking for decent people, you find they're all over the place. They really are.
One of the most eye-opening documentaries I watched recently was one on Netflix called The Survivor's Guide to Prison. And it takes you with people who were falsely imprisoned for 20 years. One of the guys was on death row. And it takes you literally from day-to-day life for the average American. The average American commits 3 felonies in a day without even knowing it. And how easy it is to get caught into the system, especially if you don't have money backing you up.
Right.
And it was kind of terrifying and eye-opening because it's like the less you are considered on the social scale, on where you're at on the ladder, is the more expendable you become. And at that point, if you're a detriment, well, throw them to a for-profit prison. Let's make money off this person.
Right.
And we don't give a shit the conditions.
Right.
That's how come you hardly see a prison called a penitentiary anymore. It's not about penance.
Right.
It's not. It's about housing, warehousing, to be exact. That's all it is. And it's all done for a profit.
Human capital.
Exactly. Exactly. It was a very, very eye-opening documentary, especially in the ways of how prosecutors, and I mean, we've talked about this before sometimes on the show, way overcharge and then come to you after you, especially if you can't make bail and you sit in county jail for like, a month or two, and they come to you and they go, okay, if you plead guilty to this, we'll let you off with time served and you have 4 years of probation. And most people after 2 months in county jail, especially if you have no street smarts and no connections to the street, are like, get me the fuck out of here.
Did you guys...
I'm ready to go.
Did you pay attention to the MLB draft this week?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, the Tigers draft at least.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I was all over that shit.
There's this kid who...
Aaron's wearing his sports shirt today.
Literally says sports, doesn't it?
Exactly, yes.
Now, there's this kid out at, he's a pitcher for Oregon State. He's, a lot of people think he's probably maybe one of the best pitchers in the draft. And this kid was convicted at the age of 15 of molesting his 6-year-old niece. He pleaded guilty to it. And somehow, typically those records are sealed when you're a minor, and somehow the information came out before they sealed the records, so now everybody in the world knows about it. And the kid denies doing anything. He said he pleaded guilty because they offered him a deal saying he would not get any jail time in exchange for a guilty plea. So anyway, this kid's one of the best pitchers in the draft. He should have probably gone in the late first round, early second round, which is up there. I mean, you're talking at least $1 million signing bonus at that in that range. And nobody drafted him. Nobody would touch him because of the conviction. Doesn't matter if he was innocent, guilty. Doesn't matter about the details of the case. Truth doesn't matter. It's the stigma that he pleaded guilty to molestation. And nobody will touch him now. So it makes you wonder, I've seen this. I've been in the court system a few times. I've had to go. I told you about the incident I had in a certain state. I think I told you guys about it, where I was arrested for a drunk driving and went to court, and the secretary was handling my case, and they were trying to railroad me through it. Found out about it and basically handled it. But I've seen that at work, where they just want you convicted, and they don't care whether or not you were innocent or guilty. And you put a 15-year-old kid in that situation, I guess I'll plead guilty. I don't want to go to jail, especially for this. What's going to happen to me in jail? What's going to happen to me in the juvie? Right?
Nothing nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real problem that when you have a justice system that is more concerned about conviction rates and, like you said, for-profit prisons and all this other stuff. I mean, this is a whole can of worms that you're looking at with that. But it just reminded me of that kid, because he should be a first, second round draft pick. He should be getting ready to go to the minor leagues, and nobody would touch him because of something that happened when he was 15.
Well, one of the scariest thoughts about the recent push to legalize / decriminalize marijuana that I read, and by the way, it was an opinion piece, and the author of this piece was for legalization, but the author made a point that I hadn't even thought of, which was, what happens when the prisons start sitting empty for these nonviolent possession, distribution, intent to distribute crimes? What new crime are they going to think up? What group are they going to think up to fill up these prisons? Because for-profit prisons hardly ever fall below 95% capacity. Hardly ever. I mean, they run at 98, 99 on average. You take nonviolent drug offenders out, you're talking out of like 2.2 million people, you're talking close to, I believe the number was like around 400,000. Do the math. They're going to have to fill those beds somehow. So does it become political dissidents? Does it become people who say things? Do we go back to we find a way to somehow put debtors, people in debt, back in jail?
There is an alternative.
Prison?
There's an alternative scenario here, and it requires a little bit of faith. But the alternative scenario is the business model fails and private and for-profit prisons go away.
Yeah, that requires a lot of faith.
Yeah.
Just sitting here I don't have that much faith.
It's not, but it's not out of the realm. I mean, we've seen it happen 100 times or 1,000,000 times that a business isn't profitable anymore because they don't have a product that they can, I guess the people in prison are the product now. They're not producing it, but they're making a profit off of it. So if there's not enough people for them to make a profit, they don't turn a profit, they close the fuck down.
Prisons go the way of Toys R Us?
Yeah.
Well,
that's possible. It's just possible. I'm just all I'm asking for is just
Todd the Optimist.
A lot of dude. I think a lot of times we get caught into our own psychological and mental crutches. Maybe we don't we see things through a cynical prism sometimes. I've been guilty of this as much as anybody, probably more so than anybody. And it's no more realistic to look at it through that than to put on rose-colored glasses and think that everything is great. The two things are the flip sides of the same coin. You're not seeing things sometimes as they are. And all I'm saying is, I'm not saying you're wrong, Rich, at all. You may be absolutely right. But there is another alternative here. There's another path, another case scenario that could it's like Occam's razor. What's more likely? Are they going to put political dissidents in there? Or are these for-profit prisons just going to go out of business?
Well, contraction, and then they'll just, less prisons. They'll get it back up to capacity. They'll have to take a cut. And most likely, because a lot of these for-profit prisons are owned by larger corporations, this isn't the only thing they do.
Right.
And so they'll look for someplace else to make their profit margin, to boost it. And they'll say, it's just not as profitable as it used to be.
Right.
Which is all there is to it. It's like cigarette companies. Cigarette companies 50 years ago could write their own fucking check in life. Now it's like they have to invest in vaping technology because they see what's on the horizon. They're not going to be probably around very much longer, in at least the way they were 50 years ago. They have to evolve.
How did this start anyway? I mean, at some point we had taxpayer-funded prisons, right? And then everything started going private. I mean, there had to have been a reason, a profit to be made there for them to even be interested in it.
It was the deregulation, and I'm painting with a very broad brush. It was a lot of the deregulation in the 70s and the 80s. I don't know the very specifics of it, because to be honest with you, it's along the lines of how we ended up closing a lot of state-run mental hospitals, and we ended up with for-profit, quote unquote, mental hospitals and treatment centers.
Right.
That makes sense to me. I mean, it seems like something that's come about in my lifetime. I just didn't know the actual facts
I think it's the last 15, 20 years, isn't it?
Oh, the prison population started exploding with the 100-to-1 drug law, the federal drug law, that you could have, if you had 100 grams of cocaine, you were sentenced. If you had one gram of rock cocaine, you were sentenced to the same sentence as someone who's 100 grams of powder. So when that law went into effect, they really started filling the prisons up.
I have a gap of knowledge here. Fill me in. How do these prisons make money? Who pays them?
Okay, the corporation, first of all.
Well, actually, I mean, isn't it ultimately taxpayer money?
That's what I'm wondering.
They have to.
Well, slavery is illegal in this country, except for if you're a prisoner.
Right.
And the way they get around calling you a slave is they pay you, I think you max out at these for-profit prisons, it's something like 20 cents an hour.
Right.
And there are numerous overseas businesses, stateside businesses, who use prison labor. And so they hire lobbyists because they have their cheap labor. Hey, privatize the prisons. Let's build a private prison in the middle of nowhere, upstate New York, and it'll revitalize your area because it'll create so many jobs and et cetera, et cetera. And if you've been to parts of upstate New York, it is barren. There is nothing to do up there. The manufacturing has left and gone and is not coming back. And these small communities jump on it and basically go, do whatever you want.
Shawshank Redemption.
Yes. Except for not a state-run prison,
Right.
And this is the thing; it's nothing new under the sun. It's just a different. It's the same grift with a new fucking paint job.
They're not all chained together breaking rocks, but
they still make the license plates.
Same business model.
Well, no, the shocking thing was it's not license plates is the cliche, but they make garments, automobile parts. manufacturing of like what do you call it? If an automobile company needs a specific machine built that isn't mass produced, they have these guys build them. And I mean,
they do small runs for prototypes and testing stuff.
And the way they sell this is, hey, look, these prisoners are getting a skill. They're gonna graduate, and you know, they now have a welding basically certificate. Yeah, the problem is
so you're gonna give them a job for it? Oh no, not us, but somebody else will definitely hire them with those kind of skills.
Right.
Exactly. One guy said something that was very telling. He said, if you come in here and he goes, you know, he goes, I think education's a very good thing. Having said that, if you come into prison and you think that you're going to get your bachelor's, and when you go out, somehow that's going to mean anything, he's like, you better get at least a master's before someone will even look your way. And it really depends on the crime you committed, period. He goes, because a master's in here is a bachelor's on the outside. And I was like, wow. So
get my doctorate.
Got nothing better to do, right? Well, got to go make license plates every day, I guess.
Got a PhD in drug culture when I went into prison. That's about it. You know, I mean,
I can make a hell of a knife, goddammit.
And that's the other thing.
Give me that straw.
That's the other thing they were talking about. That was, I've witnessed it with my own eyes. I've seen this happen with friends of mine, and to a very smaller, not a severe extent myself. You go in and you learn how to be a better hustler. Because if you don't have a hustle, you are fucked. Because unless you got someone to put $150, you know, every couple of weeks on your commissary, you are just a prime target for predators. And it starts as simple as this. Hey, man, I got an extra candy bar. You want it? 2 weeks later, hey, remember that candy bar I gave you? I'm going to need 10 of those back, or else you're going to have to do this for me. And what are you going to say? No? Who are you going to go to? The guards? No. So, I mean, you have to learn to hustle. And as a consequence, you take someone who goes in for 2 ounces of weed and they walk out with a PhD in crime. They learn to be a better criminal. And it pays more, and they can get work immediately when they walk out the door.
Well, too, there was a guy that was on Adam Carolla's show today, a bank robber. Started, I think he was like 18 years old, started robbing banks. And he served like 7-8 years for this, and they started asking him questions about what it was like on the inside. And he was asked, well, you know, what did you have to do in jail? And he's like, I had drugs, I had PSP, you know, get some alcohol sometimes, like, gamble, all this shit. And they're like, where did you get all this shit from? Like, who is smuggling it in? He's like, the guards.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I had my second DUI back in the 90s, right? I had to do a county jail time, and we actually had one of the guards would bring us cigarettes.
Yeah?
Nice.
Yeah. He would be really careful about it, obviously, but he'd leave them in people's lockers. Can I go to my locker? And you come back with a carton of cigarettes.
Well, that was their hustle. So, but what was in it for them? Because you guys didn't have any money.
He was actually just a cool dude. He didn't get anything out of it.
He's like, well, it sucks in here. Have some smokes.
Yeah, kind of. I think he had to whoever had to pay him for him. You know, he wasn't going to buy the cigarettes, but yeah, he just brought them back, threw them in the locker.
It's compassionate.
Well, yeah. Well, there's also the fact that if you keep the prisoners somewhat as happy, I know happy's the wrong word, but as happy as they can be, they're a lot time goes a lot easier as a guard.
Yeah. That's absolute truth. Nobody fucked around on that guy's watch. Nobody wanted to piss him off. Nobody wanted to cross him. A, because he was cool, right? But B, the guy did stuff for you. You piss him off, he's going to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Well, too, and then you're the guy that fucked up cigarettes for everybody.
Exactly.
And then you're
exactly
a marked
right.
man.
That's exactly right.
They're looking at you going, you ever saw what they did to Gaddafi?
Yeah.
This is what happened to you.
Just to complete the scenario, this was after smoking had been banned in jails, too. So not only was he bringing cigarettes, he was bringing contraband.
Right.
See? So, I mean, it was, I personally appreciated the shit. I smoked at the time, and we had a whole system figured out where we would jump up on top of the toilet, and we'd suck our cigarettes in and blow the smoke into the vent. I don't know how they smelled that shit. There's no way they didn't know what we were doing. They just made us go through the whole charade anyway, just so they could say they didn't know anything. But yeah, I mean, it was really cool because, like you said, you know, it made his life easier. It made him, if not your friend, somebody you didn't want to make life difficult on.
Well, yeah, one of the children's homes I was in, the last one, one of the staff, I didn't know anybody going in there, nobody whatsoever. And one of the staff said, "Hey, you want to help me take trash out?" Because we each had, assigned chores and blah blah blah. And I was like,
"Oh,
okay."
Did you have to touch his wiener?
No. No, he didn't play that shit. Oh. He didn't even let guys who wanted to do that to each other do that. He was one of the ones that there ain't no ass play on my watch. But yeah, so I go down. We got the big rolling trash cans, and I got like 4 of them, and I'm taking them out there, and I throw them out there, and it's on the dock, and he sits down, and he lights up a cigarette, and he goes, "You want one?" And I'm like looking around like, am I getting set up?
Yeah, no worries.
He's like, "Do you want one or not?" And I said, "Hell yeah." Sat down, had a cigarette with him, got up, went inside, didn't say a word to anybody about it. A couple weeks later, after I get to know some people, they're like, "Hey, we noticed you're taking the trash out with," I ain't going to say his name, I ain't going to put him on blast. And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, yeah, he smokes cools. You got to get used to those, don't you? And I'm like, "Yeah, you kind of do." And everybody knew. And except for very rare cases where it was just, people just not giving a fuck, which you're going to run into no matter what. He would walk in and the bullshit would stop because everybody, like you said, Todd, everybody knew. Don't fuck it up, because if that's the one thing you had to look forward to. Every door you went through was locked. You didn't leave a unit for all day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, the only time you got to yourself was in the shower, and at any moment that door could open and there could be a staff member saying, "Get the fuck out." I mean, you shared a bathroom with 7 other guys. There was no privacy.
Yeah.
So
that cell I was talking about was a 10-man cell with a big steel toilet wide open in the room. Imagine taking a shit on that thing.
Awesome.
Yeah, you wait till 3 a.m. and you got 3 people beaten off under their blankets while you're trying to pinch a loaf over on the steel dragon. It was great.
Hey, at least you know they're occupied.
Yeah.
Don't mind me taking a shit. Just keep beating off.
Yeah, you don't know. I mean, you think about that. It's amazing what people will adjust to.
Oh, yeah.
That just entered my mind because it was like, I don't think I shit for probably the first 10 days I was in there. Just simply because of that. What am I supposed to see? Yeah, I guess oh, fuck, I'm going to hold this. I can't hold it any longer. It's 3 o'clock. Is everybody asleep? He's jerking off. He isn't going to pay attention. He's beating off. Okay. Yeah, fuck it. And all of a sudden you adjust and you adapt to it. It's like, that's just what you got to do. And so everybody else is taking a dump. You never saw anybody else taking a dump either. That was another thing. You hardly ever saw anybody else taking it. You knew they shit. There were 9 other people in there.
Yeah. There's 9 of us in here. We're eating food. It's going somewhere.
3 meals a day. And they're doing it, so everybody else is doing the same damn thing. Just when you're asleep.
After going 10 days not using it, I'd find it difficult to just make that leap. Do you just
you don't have a choice
and start meandering around whistling and there's a toilet in here.
Look,
you know what? I think I do have to take a shit.
Now, it was a direct line over there. I do remember this. It was a straight line. It's like sometimes your body and physiology just takes your pride and dignity away from you, and you just got to squat it.
Well, stand up and snap your fingers like, that's what I forgot. I need to take a shit.
No, I do every day. I can't do it. I just can't do it. No. Okay,
my buddy did time in Wayne County, and he said they had put a sheet up, and he was like, that was like respect the sheet. He was like, it was basically Thunderdome in there for the most part.
Yeah.
But when it came to the sheet, you respected it. You didn't just open it. You said, "Anybody in there? Nothing? Okay."
Yeah.
And it was amazing how he's like, you had a bunch of criminals and people who just made a bad mistake, and they were all stuffed in this fucking, like you said, I think it was like it might have been 10, 12-man cell, something like that. And he's like, and people would fight over the dumbest shit, but that was the one thing you respect the sheet.
Yeah. I never saw, when I was in there, I never saw any of the, again, it was not exactly, Jackson, but I never saw really any problems in there. I saw a couple of people get pissed off and act like they wanted to fight, but I never saw anything like that. It was, kind of one of those things. I was really surprised by it because people just wanted to do their time. They just wanted to get through it. And they wanted to get along with people. They didn't want to be locked in a fucking box with people they hated. They didn't want to be locked in a box with people they were going to war with constantly every waking moment. There was a lot of real cooperation in there. Like you said, like with the sheet, stuff like that. It was really surprising. I was young and I had these sort of, I guess, stereotypical images in my head of what I thought it was going to be, but it was none of that. Just, all right, we're all here. We all hate it. Let's try to get along.
You're in there your first night. You got your toothbrush broken in half. You're just getting a point on it. You're like, I'm getting my shake ready.
I was actually real friendly. When I walked in there, I was just like really friendly. I was like, okay, I am not going to piss anybody off. I'm going to do my best not to be a dickhead. And the strategy was just be friendly, be
respectful.
Exactly. And not be a dick and not isolate yourself off and make yourself a target. Just be a dude.
Yeah, one of the best pieces of advice I ever got in one of the youth homes I was in was you have 2 ears, you got one mouth. Listen way more than you talk.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And don't go around selling wolf tickets because motherfuckers will call you out on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're going to find that there was dudes in there who I had to go toe to toe with a few times, and they brought the bitch out in me. But you had to fight. Period. If you don't, you're easy prey, and the next time it's just going to get worse and worse. And it's the sad part of the reality is that's the reality of prison in the U.S. to the point where we have comedians and late night talk show hosts make jokes about prison rape. And we all laugh and ha, 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 ha. And if you made the same joke about a woman getting raped, oh, my God. Oh, boy. Sick fuck. What's wrong with you? How could you do that? But if you look at other nations' prison systems, they're not focused on housing and warehousing. They're focused on, we're going to have to reintroduce these people to society. Let's get them ready for that.
Re-socialize them in the proper way.
Exactly. One of the biggest shocks of going to rehab was how much socialization there was. And I'm sitting there going, why are we doing all this and this? And they're like,
makes perfect sense.
They're like, do you understand half these people have spent, before they came here, they were basically scraping bottom. So most of them probably sitting in fucking houses or rooms by themselves, doing whatever drug they're doing.
Well,
not dealing with anybody.
A lot of substance abuse stems from, not necessarily, not talking about the people who have financially bottomed out, but a lot of that stems from not being able to socialize comfortably unless you're lubricated.
Definitely.
And learning how to do that, where you have confidence enough in yourself that you can actually socialize with somebody without being high or without being drunk. I mean, that's priceless.
Yeah, one of my favorite bits from Doug Stanhope is his friends that go, Doug, man, you got a drinking problem. But you're funny as fuck when you're drunk, so please don't get sober. I got tickets to the Late Show.
Yeah, right.
It's
yeah.
And that's something else I was wanting to bring up, and this is just an overall idea I've had because I've been in contact with some family members I hadn't really been in contact with up until recently, I should say. And my family excels at, wow, you fucked up. Look at you. Boy, you fucked that up. And I'm like, yeah, that's wonderful. By the way, if you knew that this was going to happen, why the fuck didn't you say something in the first place? All this information, you're great at telling me when I fuck up, but you never paint a roadmap to the way to succeed.
Right.
And it's like, for the longest time, I just thought, oh, that's my family. That's just how they are. Seems like that's society. Like we love the brutal part of brutal honesty more than the honesty part.
It's the brutality of brutal honesty that we're in love with. And that goes back to what I was saying before about the split in humanity. We absolutely love terrorizing people. There's a part of us, this primal lizard man part, that absolutely loves it.
It's just it's such a counterproductive way to go about things. And I mean, if any of you guys have ever had to go to doctors, once you start seeing a wide variety of doctors, you realize that bedside manner is not something most of these people have. Like, their attitude is like, you walk in and they're like, well, You got cancer, but you smoked all your life. What did you think was going to happen? Oh, thanks. Is that the pep talk? Can I go to chemo now? Really? Well, how about this? You already, look, what's done is done. We need to focus on what we need to do to get you better.
Right.
Well, ask yourself this question. Which one are you going to react better to? I think most people don't react well to being told how fucking stupid they are when they're sitting in a pile of their own shit. And they're like, yeah, I'm aware of it. I'm in it. Thank you.
Oh.
It reminds me of the...
That's how you get President Trump?
Well, we could expand. This is a really interesting can you've opened here, Rich, because we could expand this, I guess, to a really macro scale if you want to. And it goes back to what I think the example I used a month ago or so ago was when we sit here and complain about everything and bitch about everything. And we do. We're good at that. But at some point, it becomes walking into the cancer ward, pointing out you got cancer. You know, saying to the kid in the bed getting his chemo, hey, look at you. You're fucked up. You've got cancer. Well, I'm going to leave now.
Cancer boy.
Yeah, we have to at some point. I mean, you're absolutely right about what you're saying, but expand it out now. You know, that's something that I think is a bigger theme that goes beyond just the, individual interaction in families and stuff like that. I think if we applied that to the culture and to society, and we'll probably spend 7 hours talking about it. I'm really not up for that tonight, thanks. But, that is a problem. And it's not right. You're absolutely right. I mean, how do people react? I mean, how are you going to get people to react in a better way, in a more positive and more productive way, by including them in the process and saying, okay, we're here. It doesn't really matter how we got here. How the fuck do we move forward? How do we make this better? Let's do that on a national scale, on a social, societal scale. And nobody does that. We don't. Traditionally, since I've been doing this podcast, anyway, and my own podcast, I have not done that.
It happens, but it's the exception rather than the rule. I absolutely agree with you. And that's something that's for me, it's very hard unless I'm sitting here staring at you in a one-on-one exchange to tailor something to you to where you're going to be able to hear it.
Right.
And the most I can ask, and the most I hope for anyone that listens to this podcast, is to get them to think and look at something, get up, walk across the room, sit down, and look at the exact same object from a new fucking angle.
Right.
And go, okay, there's more than one side to this thing. I got it now, and when it happens in a one-on-one, exchange, it's great. But the nature of podcasting is we don't know if anyone's listening. I mean, we know, we get the numbers, but we don't know if anyone's listening and going, it's just a good way to kill 3 hours while I'm waiting for lunch.
Dude, this is radio 101, man. And you have to pretend. You have to create that character in your head of somebody you think is listening or might be listening. Pretend. Create the little straw man, the imaginary friend in your head that you're talking to, and that way you can actually address people on an individual way.
Hi, Jennifer Conley. You need to call Aubrey Plaza and bring her on over.
What's my girlfriend's name? Hey, you have
Anna Kendrick.
Get some horny goat weed.
Listen, man, she called me this week, Aaron. You need to leave her alone.
Sure. Yeah, right.
It's pissing her off, all the emails and texts and shit. I don't know how you got her number. That's some subversive shit you need to stop.
I tell you, if you're an Aubrey Plaza fan, Rich, you should be watching Legion.
I came in the tail end, and when I saw her, I was like, was that Aubrey Plaza? And you were like, yep. I was like, all right, I might have to watch this show. That's how pathetic I am. I will watch a horrible fucking... I mean, I'm not saying it's a horrible show, but I will watch a horrible movie or show just to see a certain actor sometimes.
It's actually a really good show, and she's the reason for the nudity warnings on it.
What show is this?
Legion on FX.
Sweet.
FX
has nudity now?
I mean,
but every once in a while.
It's not graphic.
No titty?
Full
no titty?
frontal.
No titty?
Side boob.
I don't need no side boob. I got a big fat cat.
I thought I saw her nipple on the last episode.
Well, you know what?
Thought you saw it. Dude, you're like early 40s. You don't know what a nipple looks like by now? You're either did or you didn't see a nipple.
Not that one.
Well, maybe that's because we're just all incels. Well, except, two of us are incels. Todd, And Chris, you're in relationships. So until you say I do, you won't be an incel.
Dude, I've been with my girlfriend now for 15 years. It's going to be 15 years. Holy fuck, next month.
Wow.
So do you have like an open line of credit at the kink shop?
I'm good to go. I don't know. Things are fine. I don't know what y'all are talking about. Maybe you just chose poorly. No. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's what we were just talking about. See, I'm condemning, I'm criticizing rather than offering solutions.
Well, I can say, because I knew that, between Aaron and I talking about Jordan Peterson and then somehow this connection to the quote-unquote incel community, which is mind-blowing to me that a off-the-cuff insult based on a Judd Apatow movie has now become a movement. And it's filled with crazy fucks. I went on 4chan and 8chan and went into their boards and was like the first post was this guy talking about how the world will know our pain when we commit acts to show our pain, and it's going to manifest itself with attacks and mass shootings and all this. And I'm just going, you've got to be shitty. Over lack of pussy? Bro. Come over to my house. I'll take you to 7 in Shiawassee. I'll get you a blowjob. Once you get that evil out of you, you'll realize I've been wasting my fucking time on this.
You can't jerk off. Come on, there's so much porn. Take care of your shit yourself. And
These guys not aware of hookers?
But I have to say, the media is definitely blowing it up out of proportion, in my opinion. It's definitely at hysterical. Oh my God, there's like the one lady who tweeted out. I can't remember, some third wave feminist, you tech companies, you have incels working for you. What are you going to do? And it's like the same thing we do with the rest of our employees. Give them a check every 2 weeks and tell them don't have too much fun on the weekend. That's what the fuck we're going to do. But then I dip my toe in the water and I'm like, it's a very, very small group, but these motherfuckers are crazy. Like, sick in the head. Don't need to be in society if this is just bubbling under the surface. Like, I was reading, I'm not joking, serial killer levels of craziness. If this isn't just a venting, a way for these people to vent, and I'm just like, over sex.
I mean, not only is this a small group, how many of those people do you think were either trolling or just completely posturing?
Yeah.
Just spouting shit to look like a tough guy,
taking the avatars, taking the avatars out for a walk.
Right.
Well, that's there's always, you have to factor that in. It's like this Kelly Marie Tran thing, the actress who played Rose in the last Star Wars movie.
Right. She had the one who shut down her Twitter and Instagram accounts because people were abusing her.
Yeah, because people said she sucked and her acting sucked and her role sucked and the movie sucked. And I hear all this and I'm like, is this your first day on the internet? Like, I can take this back to the 90s in the old, forums, musicians forums. Kill yourself was like the equivalent of saying hi to somebody. It was no big, you suck, you're an asshole, fuck your mother, everyone, everything. And it's like, no one felt the need to like, I'm leaving. And if they did, we were like, good, you're a pussy anyways. We don't want you here anyways.
Didn't kill yourself a standard YouTube comment?
Yeah. And I mean, it's just, there's always people that are just there just to fucking troll. It's constant. I see it every day. Just people just to stir the pot because they know they don't have to lick the spoon.
It could just be a valid opinion. I mean, I have no problem with her role and her portrayal of that character in the movie, but I don't think that she was a great actor. I don't think it was a great part. The problem is that people who are critical of her in general are being lumped in with the people who are just critical of her insertion as a character into the universe for what they see as some sort of, political correctness of the Star Wars universe. Like George Lucas said one day, I'm going to make a space adventure and it's going to be about a white girl and 2 white guys. And that was his vision. Right.
And a gay robot and his asexual friend. But honestly, that's my issue with this kind of crap is because it's turned into like with the new Han Solo movie. I fell asleep during it. So the half I saw, I was like, all right. But I mean, it wasn't anything great. Of the
it was fun.
Of the new movies, Rogue One's still by far my favorite. But I noticed a lot of people, it only did 112 million over a 4-day weekend. Right. It's considered a flop. Whatever. As far as
I enjoyed
as
the
Disney.
Fuck out of it.
But here's the thing: the people that you have these hardcore right wing. That's because people are tired of Disney shoving, diversity up our butts and down our throats and all this stuff, and they're celebrating. And then you got the hardcore SJWs going. They're celebrating because that's what you get for making Disney for making a movie about a white man. No one wants to see that.
Oh God!
And it's like you just look and you just go like,
world's worst game show. You can't win.
I mean, you literally like meet the new boss, same as the old boss. You people are exactly the same. You are all miserable. And here's the thing: did you enjoy the movie or not? I mean, it isn't that
right?
Ultimately, the point.
The
not when you're looking
poorly.
It's not the point when you're looking at it through an agenda prism, though.
Yes, the movie did poorly because it was unnecessary, right? No, I don't think that it was so much that people were against the idea of this movie being made. It's just nobody was clamoring for this story to be told. And I mean, if it means that Disney is going to make less movies, filling in all the little gaps of the original Star Wars characters, I'm fine with that. Like I said, I don't mind the movie. There's no point to it. The kind of like I said, filling in the holes of the Han Solo story is completely unnecessary. None of that was charming to me. The movie was charming on its own. It was a fun adventure with some great characters in it, and that's it. If you just take it on face value, it holds up as well as any other of the Star Wars movies or any of the action movies that we have out now.
I think it's funny that the trend that we're seeing of filmmakers, directors, producers, and writers specifically going on social media and attacking the fan base has continued with this movie. And I'm like, okay, even if you are right and there's homophobic, sexist, racist Star Wars fans, what is the point of giving them the spotlight? What is the point of calling them out and saying we don't want your filthy money as is? And it's
right.
Like
many of the cast, her cast members from The Last Jedi, including Mark Hamill, had to come out with statements of support for Kelly Marie Tran.
And I just go back to what's so special about her? What makes her above getting talked shit to by the internet?
Right.
And you know what it is?
More people talk shit about Luke on Twitter, and he didn't shut down his Twitter. He doubled down on it. Exactly.
And we know what it is. It's the fact that it's that sexism and racism from the left. Oh, this is a Asian woman. Oh, she shouldn't have to put up with this. If I was her, I'd go, first of all, fuck you. Do you think this bothers me? I'm an actress. You know how often I get denied a role I want or whatever? I mean, it'd be like a baseball player getting up and crying because he strikes out 7 out of 10 times.
Right.
That's part of the game.
Well, also, I mean, there's nothing wrong with her leaving social media, right? Her life's not going to fall apart. This isn't like she can't walk out of her front door without somebody throwing Rotten Tomatoes at her.
Just do it at Rotten Tomatoes.
She's just not participating in social media. Many people do. And
kiss my ass.
They don't
suck my dick. Everyone.
Right? It's not like she's been ostracized in some way. She's got to go off and live in a fucking cave now.
Yeah, but unfortunately, and this is something this is the normal for the younger generation. It is an everyday part of their lives. And that is, does it suck? Yeah, it sucks. But I've had to walk away from exchanges online. And you know how I know it's time to walk away? When I'm not sitting in front of a computer and I'm pissed off still about an exchange that happened online.
Yes.
I'm like, why am I letting this bother me so much? Like, literally, I get fucked over every day in life, and I'm not as pissed off about that as I am about someone, you fat fuck. Oh, and first of all, yeah, okay. Second of all, why, that's not healthy. So her taking a break, once again, it's painted as it's this horrible thing that she had to do. Maybe it's better. I don't know. I can't imagine being so thin-skinned that having a bunch of people tell me that you sucked in a movie and your character was pointless. Make me go, I have to bow out. I'm out. I can't take this anymore. I mean, to me, it's the same when I hear Roseanne, I'm going to quit Twitter. How long did that last?
Not long enough.
Exactly. I mean, obviously there's an issue there, and
right. It's insulting though that she has to be protected because she's a woman and she's Asian.
Exactly.
Right. Where apparently Mark Hamill can just stick up for himself because he's got all the power and he's a white male.
He's a straight white male. Oh, big deal. Oh, your life's so rough. And that's the attitude. And it's like, if you approach everything like that, Todd, what did you say about the rise of Trump? It made perfect sense after the rise of Obama. Because in nature, there's for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction.
Nature's gonna find balance, be it between, in a cooperative environment or via two extremes. There's always going to be an equal and opposite reaction.
And, it's the same reason when I talk to my brother, he's very pro-science, anti-religion, as far as creationism and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, I'm on the same page as you, but I mean, it really bothers him. He's like, it bothers me that these people think the world's only 6,000 years old because they added up everybody's age in the Bible. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty stupid. I agree with you.
Is that how they came to it?
Yeah. No, that's
exactly how.
Yeah. You can't argue with math.
Actually, perhaps you can.
Noah 900 years old?
Yeah, exactly. Noah was there for 1/6 of the entire world's history.
Jesus Christ.
But,
he's drinking.
Well, Noah was a drunk, so maybe the wine back in the day preserved the organs instead of pickling them. Who knows?
But didn't he out-survive everyone else? So it's probably self-reported number. I mean, it's dubious.
That's true. Yeah, who's going to fucking fact-check him, right? It's not like the person who's on.
What it was, he was telling his biographer, he's like, I've been on this boat for 40 days and 40 nights. It feels like 900 years. And he's like, 900 years old. Okay.
Where's the birth certificate? Lost in the flood. Next.
Kind of like Will Chamberlain self-reporting he fucked 30,000 women or whatever.
He wouldn't have time to he wouldn't have time to get out of bed. I like someone broke it down that even if he only lasted 5 minutes, it's like, so he's been having sex since 4 years before he was conceived. Like, there's just no possible way.
I have never actually, Aaron, you make a great point.
What if somewhere at the same time?
I've never heard anybody actually point that out. That, it was a self-reported age because everybody else was dead. He could say whatever the hell he wanted. He was probably 72.
Yeah, well, back then they lived to the ripe old age of,
That's what I mean. Yeah, everybody else died at 26, and he lived to be 60. Exactly. So everybody's dead. Oh, I've been around 900 years. Prove I ain't.
Yeah.
Well, he's always been here for me, so maybe.
He lived long enough to grow a full beard.
Oh, God.
Oh, I just to wrap up real quick with the whole social media thing. I know it's been a couple months since the first time you came on, Todd, or it might actually be like, are we into like 3-4 month territory now?
March.
Isn't that long? Okay. Getting there.
2.5.
Because I know that we have one member of our podcast who seems to have come around to your way of thinking.
Oh, you all will eventually.
About social media. And I was just wondering if you still feel the same on it as far as that goes.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah, you know what I figured out. It's actually it wasn't a conscious decision this time. I've been on Facebook a little bit today, but the last month or so, it sort of has just gone away for the most part. And my Twitter account for the podcast has been deactivated. It's not deactivated, but I've logged off of it. You know what I did? I created another Twitter account for this baseball podcast that I was thinking about doing. And so I populated it with just baseball people. Just baseball. Yeah, that's it. Nothing else. Just fucking baseball. And it's awesome. I can go in and I can talk baseball. I can chat with people. I met a couple of people. You go back and you look at their feed and you can tell if they're liberal or conservative, right? And it never comes up.
See, I initially thought I was like, and it always devolves into Trump versus Hillary immediately.
No, not when it comes to baseball. I have seen little bits and pieces of it, and I get rid of those people occasionally if they throw, some political comment into a base, like this baseball player kid that I was talking about. I'll get rid of those people, but it's been great, and I can just go on there and I can talk about baseball. What I've found, at least in the last couple of months since you asked, is that commonality beyond politics and religion and all this other stuff. It actually works. That if you have a common interest or a common goal or just a common frame of conversation that doesn't have anything to do with calling the other person a stupid idiot and telling them that they need to think or believe or behave a certain way, it's really fucking easy to get along with people.
It's amazing how that works, huh?
Yeah, it really is. So that's kind of, I don't spend a lot of time on there. The baseball podcast is kind of, I don't know what's going on with that, but I enjoy going on there during Tigers games, and I'll sit there and I'll go, banter back and forth with people about the Tigers, and it's great. And I made the mistake earlier. You remember you said a couple of minutes ago, Rich, that it's time to disengage when you're still pissed off 15 minutes after you see something?
Yeah.
I ran into that. It had to do with this Heimlich guy and the baseball player kid got convicted of the molestation, and I clicked on a thread put up by one of the national writers, Joel Sherman, maybe. I don't remember who. But anyway, I started reading through because I wanted to see what people were saying about it, and it immediately devolved into the politics thing. And it was one of those things that I'm sitting here I was pissed off. And it happened again with a Red Sox fan, because the Tigers playing the Red Sox this week. Jumped into discussion about Comerica Park and the Tigers and how the attendance has been. And this guy was just going off being a complete dickhead. His whole purpose is like Randy Marsh. You've seen the South Park episode where Randy's the troll on the internet. That was this fucking guy. That was all he was there to do. And it was he stood out like a sore thumb. And it was one of those things just like, oh, God, I want to just jump through. But it dawned on me that's what's been going on. Like every fucking where you go that has anything to do with politics or sociology or belief, that's what happens. You've got a bunch of people that are, and I've been saying this the whole time, just a bunch of people jumping in, engaging in virtual warfare, showing how big of a fucking cunt you can be. Mm-hmm. Because there's no accountability. And nobody can do anything about it.
And strictly just from an observational point of view, back when I was on musician forums in the late 90s, early 2000s, you had to troll softly, and you had to, it was an art to it. We had one guy who created a female username, went so far as to find pictures of a 18, 20-year-old girl playing guitar, and he didn't burst in like, hey, I'm a chick and I'm here to play guitar, someone help me. Worked his way in and talked one of the guys into sending them nudes, and then flashed them all over the forum we were on. And I was like, that's such a dick move, but that's good. Artful trolling.
That's good.
Now people just come in and go, fuck Trump.
Yeah.
That's not trolling.
Well, there's another aspect of this that I wanted to get to as well, because this is in the time that we've had off that we haven't done, or I haven't done a podcast. I haven't done one of my own since the end of March, and I haven't done one with you guys in almost a month now. As amazing as that feels. As Facebook has sort of gone away, I found other things to kind of throw myself into. The photography stuff has started up again. I went and bought a bike. I'm starting to plot like this bike tour, maybe around like bike paths around Michigan, doing photography for this magazine kind of thing. Point being, the less time you spend on the internet, specifically on social media, the more organic you become. The more human you become again. You learn how to interact with people, and you learn to make people who are in front of you, actual human beings, important. And that's the one thing that I think, if I were to be a little more introspective than I want to be, okay, that was lost, I think, over the course of a decade that I spent immersed in engaging in virtual ideological warfare with whoever I chose to. It dehumanizes people.
Yeah.
There is no give and take. It's all, I'm going to beat this person over the head with my verbal brilliance.
It's about being right, and that's why I had to step away.
No, it's not about being right. It's about appearing right and about winning. There's a difference. There's a distinction. There's
correct.
a distinction.
That's more what I was getting at. It's about winning. That's the experience I had.
It's exactly what it is.
Someone saw fit to direct message me to just want to make all the points that they wanted to make. Yeah. And the conversation, if you look at it, for every one response I had, they had like 3. Yeah. Like they had everything chambered, like they wanted to say to me.
They did. That's exactly what they did.
And the thing, too, it wasn't malicious, it wasn't vitriolic. And then just at the end, it just left me with this feeling of like, oh, because it's like I've known this person for a while and I respect them. And it was just like, oh, you too? Like it's just about winning? Like, God damn it. It was just kind of like, after that experience, I was like, what's the fucking point of this dumb shit?
It dehumanizes. It does. It dehumanizes.
Like, I killed my Twitter account and I'm like a radio silence on my Facebook so I can figure out how to operate all the podcast shit without pages, and then whatever, man. I'm gonna go back to talking to people.
Yeah, that's it. It's a dehumanizing effect. And it turns people into, I was talking about this propaganda book that I had gotten a couple of months ago. I haven't really started to read it. I got sucked into some other things. Dostoevsky will do that to you. But it's basically turned people. There are about 15 different directions I can go with this. We could talk about Jordan Peterson, and what I was talking about before the show is how the ideological religions, how ideology takes over people and their religion, and they have to go out and proselytize to people, to everybody. They have to preach their message. They have to preach the word of their ideological God, okay? Or it turns us into propaganda machines where we, like you said, everything is chambered. All of these talking points are there. They're cocked, they're loaded, and they're ready to be spewed into any random thread that you can find that even makes the remotest amount of sense. You're not having an interaction. You're not having discourse with anyone. You're posting propaganda points that you read somewhere else or that you crafted in your head a week ago, and you're looking for the perfect, or you're putting it in multiple places. That's what you're dealing with.
That's what struck me about the exchange is, like,
it's exactly what it was.
Maybe one of the 3 responses had something to do with something that I had that I had said.
Yeah.
I know it's not all about me, but I mean, if we're having a conversation, like, and I'm saying something back, like, you should perhaps maybe like respond. And it was just like they were just sitting there waiting, like, all right, cool, you said that, but I wanted to say this, so I'm going to say this.
We've all had conversations with people who do not listen to what we say. They're just waiting to talk. Right? That's what it is. Yep. It's waiting to verbally, I don't know if attack's the right word, but there's no discourse here. And there's only one possible outcome here. If you're having that sort of mass interaction, the only outcome is conflict.
Yeah.
That's it.
And it just made me really just take stock of what do I really use this for? Keep in touch with people. Cool. Well, I can do that with just the instant messenger.
It's a beautiful thing, and you're doing it on an individual level, too, when you're talking with someone outside of our group chat. But, I mean, still, it's 4 people. We know each other well, and, we're directing it. We have a laser what the fuck is it that they put on the guns? Laser sight. Laser sight. We're targeting 1 or 2 people, not putting out a mass social media dispatch for the entire world to see. That's interaction.
Well, one of the interesting comments I read to one of the Jordan Peterson, the lecture he gave about, installing neural pathways and inhibitors and et cetera, was someone brought up, they said, have you ever seen or been involved in a social media flame war, especially when it gets down to 2 people? And Facebook and Twitter, because you can retweet and like, It's like whoever gets the most likes or the most retweets is somehow more, no matter how stupid their point is, they're more validated.
Exactly.
And it's just, it's like if you go into, I don't know why, Todd, I think it was you that said the flat earthers are just nothing but like a group of people who agreed to troll people. I hope that's the case, but for some reason in the Joe Rogan page on Facebook, it's just, these people never shut up.
I don't think that was me, because I firmly do not believe that. I think I think they actually believe that shit.
The earth is flat?
Yeah, and they're the epitome of willful ignorance.
And, once it's like they give out, the bat signal, the bat shit crazy signal.
The bat shit signal.
and
I like that.
Once someone starts a new thread on this Joe Rogan page, all the flat earthers come and like and love his comment. And then it's like, well, look at all the people that are supporting me. How many people like your comment? And it's like, that is, really? That's how we decide what's right now?
It's validation.
Like comment on social media?
You were commenting on the dopamine hit earlier. And, when I forget the context, but you were talking about basically your brain creates dopamine. And that's exactly what that is. When you've got 10 people that, like something you've posted, you feel good, you feel validated, you feel important, regardless of whether you posted something about how the earth is flat or not. It doesn't matter that you were right. It matters that you were validated and that somebody else thinks, or you appear to other people to be right. That's the problem. And this isn't social media's fault. Okay? Again, I'm going to come back to this again. This is our fault. This is us as a species. And it comes into the tribalism a little bit. It comes into power. It comes in. I came up with this idea. And if any of you guys are musicians, do any of you know Neil Young personally?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well.
Yeah, he's on speed dial.
Yeah, that's cool. Now, if you don't, I would appreciate it if you'd use your well-established network, because I know you guys have it, that if you can get a hold of him, Neil Young, and ask him to recut Needle and the Damage Done, but sort of tweak the lyrics a little bit to Ego and the Damage Done, I think he could send that to either Facebook or Twitter, and they have a theme song, and that's $1 billion for Neil Young. He could donate that to, you could pick a charity. The Roseanne Barr Destitute Fund or something.
Think how much he could expand Lionel Trains if he wrote that song.
But the Ego and the Damage Done, man. I was thinking about this the other day. I was in my journal just sort of doing some stream of consciousness shit, and that's exactly what it is. And it's you asked me about social media. I hope you expected me to get on a soapbox, because I did. But that is the legacy here. And it's doing an incredible amount of damage because people don't know how to use it. People don't know, they're not self-aware enough to realize what the technology and what the platform is not only doing to them as human beings and how they're treating people and the friendships and the interactions and the relationships they have. They refuse to see the damage that's being done on a larger macro scale. And it is astounding, the damage that's being done. It has to be... And you can't legislate it. You can't just go shut Facebook down. There has to be a change. And that is going to have to come from an increasing amount of self-awareness. And I don't know how to do it. I mean, I don't know how to do that. Yeah, I don't. Because I have, I feel like I've gotten at least a glimmer of it, a glimpse of it. I'm seeing other people who are coming, realizing and seeing that, like you said earlier this week, Chris. There are other people that are pretty much, that are getting there, but the mass majority of people are drunk. They're just so intoxicated with the dopamine and the tribalism and appearing like they're brilliant when they just fucking Googled something or looked at a blurb on Wikipedia and then went to Facebook to sound like Aristotle or Cicero. You know what I mean? And that's doing an incredible amount of damage. Not having a conversation, waiting to talk, waiting to post. Waiting and not having any kind of interaction, not having any sort of dialogue and discourse with the person. How do you find middle ground then? How do you find compromise? And if people are so addicted to this, and this is their mechanism now for socialization, and they take this model and they put it in the real world, what's going to happen? It's happening. Look all around you, man. Look at the far left Antifa. Look at the Trump bots. It's happening. Facebook, the matrix that is Facebook, is becoming reality. You have to see that.
Right.
It is.
Well, look at how millennials look at phone conversations now. Like, something better be going on majorly that you have to call me directly, and on your time, you decide that I have to talk to you right then and there.
That's one of my favorite.
It's an intrusion on their lives.
My favorite is these sorry bits. What, are you on fire?
It's not just millennials. I do that.
No, but what's the next?
Same
what's
here.
The next step? It's going to be rude to talk to somebody face to face. Oh, he wants to look me in the eye and everything. Can't he just text me this shit?
The fuck your eyeballs? They're assaulting me. Stop it.
Oh no! Well, Mandy and I were commenting the other day about remember when we're probably from the last generation that did this when we were little. You go over to somebody's house and just knock on the door if you wanted to talk to them. Now that's considered rude.
God forbid.
What? You just came over without calling? Just knocked? What the fuck, man?
Are you a barbarian?
Yeah, you look like you didn't get shot through the door,
No shit.
Detroit style.
I actually have a friend. She got a new phone, and I was like, "Oh, did you get? Is the same number?" And she's like, "Yeah. Oh, but don't call me quite yet. I haven't set up my voicemail." And I'm like, "I'm the only person you had to say that to, right?" And she's like, "Yeah, pretty much." She's like, "You're the oldest person I know who I'm not related to." And I'm like. Because no one else. Who the fuck calls? Nobody. Seriously, I absolutely get it, and I am the absolute opposite opinion of the younger generation. I think it's rude when you just fucking text me.
Oh, it's the best.
Just call me. Why do I have to, with my thumbs, type out a 5-minute conversation that you're going to drag out over 2 hours because you were too busy, I don't know, doing what the fuck ever to give me an answer. So I got to wait 3 hours for you to text me back.
Conversation on your terms. That's the appeal of it.
Right. That's why, text message and email, it allows you to slot things into how important they are to you, right? I mean, if you're trying to get some ass and somebody texts you, you're hitting that shit back right away. But, if your aunt's texting you some shit, you're like, I'll answer her later.
Yeah, exactly.
You have all of your interactions completely on your terms.
It's a millennial trait I know I have and I embrace. I get where they're coming from with the technology and the communication.
Well, it's not an either or situation, though, is it? I mean, I know that. I mean, a lot of these criticisms that I'm just putting upon millennials, I'm saying that because they're the generation that's growing up with it.
Right.
We know how to adopt this technology, use it to our advantage, but it doesn't mean that this is precluding any ability to have a real conversation with somebody.
I got get off my lawn. I know before I even say it, but I get that out of the way. The art of conversation, man, it's so lost on so many people these days. And when you actually,
because they all think that they're doing it, and they're not. Right? This is what we were talking about: waiting to speak instead of listening.
Right.
The same thing is going on in the text messages and the forums and the Twitter wars and all this stuff.
Well, it's just they
might as well be cutting and pasting these conversations.
When I'm at work and we have a certain crew makeup, certain people are working at the same time. I know that when it gets slow, we're going to have good conversations. And then there's other people that I don't think if I stuck a gun to their head, they could have a conversation. Because the minute they get any downtime, they pull their phone out and their head's buried in it. And it's like, that doesn't bother me, but be able to do both. Can you chew gum and walk at the same time? I get that, you don't want to call someone, you want to text. Okay, great, wonderful. But you can't have a conversation face-to-face with someone? And then, I made that comment in front of somebody who I didn't realize was, they must have had some serious rabbit ears for that issue because they jumped down my throat about, well, you don't understand, some people aren't comfortable talking in groups and they have anxiety and this is how we deal with it, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, whoa. Okay.
You have anxiety because you're not doing it.
I'm like, you just took it. Yeah, you took it well over the rainbow there, Dorothy. Come on back to Kansas. It was just an observation.
You know what it reminds me of a little bit? I'm sorry, did I cut you? Did I cut you off?
No, you're good.
Oh, okay. No, what it reminds me of is I mentioned the Chicago comedy, the stand-up scene that I was on the fringe of there for a little while. I remember having these conversations with these comics. And I try to talk about like some philosophical or political ideas with them, and they would sit there. A lot of them. I'm not going to say every single one of them, but a lot of them would just sit there and they'd put this like really overblown, exaggerated look of concentration on their face while I was talking, and nod along, and then they would. What I quickly realized, these were comedians. They were trying to think of something witty to say that had absolutely nothing to do with what the hell I was talking about. They were just trying to be fucking funny. You know what I mean? And I sense a lot of that. I don't see this conversational breakdown and incapacity as much as you guys do. It's probably because I'm not plugged into the same work crowd like you guys are, so I'm probably missing that. But I get the sense that that's what a lot of people try to do, and they can't do that. They can't have sort of the improvised conversation because they can't sit there and type text into a comment box and go back and edit it and move it around and everything. Everything they say is out there. It's unedited. It's unsanitized, And they realize how really actually off the cuff, unarticulate they are because they have to sit there. I think a lot of people actually have gotten to the point where they have to sit there and they have to construct, like literally construct, deconstruct, and edit their conversational reply to people. And they can't do that while you're having a one-on-one real-time conversation with people.
Right. It's this tip-over point when a technology becomes less of an assistant and just a crutch.
Yeah. Because you don't sound as smart, right? If you can't sit there and spend 5 minutes typing text into a thread and rearranging it, you don't sound nearly as witty and profound when you have to just say what's on your mind. Because then you discover what's on your mind may be a little convoluted and confused.
Yeah, and then there's also, this is my favorite thing, sarcasm, being snarky, the context is lost, and it just doesn't come through, and then, I don't know. That's my issue with it. And then there's the unwritten rules that, society had a meeting that I wasn't invited to. I think I might have mentioned this before, but it still blows my mind every once in a while when I hear this from people. If you use punctuation in a text, that means you're angry. I'm like, because I put a period at the end of the sentence, I'm angry?
Fuck you guys. No.
Whatever.
I punctuate. English. Yeah, I punctuate. I don't want to look like a fucking illiterate tool. Sorry.
Right, no, but that is accepted. If you use if you use an exclamation mark, that means it's basically just normal. Like, you're not mad, you're not happy. In order to express happiness now, you have to use multiple exclamation marks. And if you use a period, you're definitely mad.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's the people who, are you home? LOL.
What the fuck's that mean?
I consider myself a fairly amusing person. So do some other people in this world.
You're occasionally witty.
What was funny about that?
Nothing.
I'm like, what are you laughing about?
Right. Yeah, but people do that when they speak. Some people do too, right? Like if it's nervous laughter, or, just
the kind of thing you need to add to a text. Nervous laughter.
Right. Yeah, I think that's what it's akin to.
Isn't that the point? So you don't have to include the nervous laughter.
Even LOL. I mean, think about what that means. It means laughing out loud. We use that in cases where we're probably not laughing out loud. We thought something was amusing. It was worth a chuckle. But we're not like sitting in the office slapping our knee.
If I were to do the
research, over hyperventilating.
If I were to think back and do all of the research, I've been using the internet and chat rooms and LOL probably since 1997. So 21 years, right? I think I have literally been laughing out loud 3 times.
Right.
Maybe 3 times.
I usually, if I use it, I put for real laughing out loud, and it's the truth, because it's like, so sometimes something just strikes me as so funny. when I lived with a buddy of mine, he came to the door one time. He knocked on the door, and I was like, yeah. And he opened the door. He goes, "Are you okay? Are you crying?" I said, "No, I'm not crying. I'm laughing." He's like, "Why are you in here laughing by yourself?" I'm like, I just saw something on the internet, struck me as funny. And he's an older guy, and he's like, "I don't understand any of that." And I'm like, "Okay." Just
well, you don't understand seeing something and laughing at it?
I'm like, all right, I can't explain it to you, I guess. I don't know. He's just like, why are you laughing by yourself? I'm like, what? Because it's the internet. And so if I was watching Delirious and I'm watching it by myself and I laugh, I'm weird. Okay. It's just.
Weirdo.
Some people don't.
Freak.
Some people only really laugh, or definitely people will laugh harder when other people are around.
Well, it's contagious.
Although, yeah. But, I mean, that being said, I can laugh pretty damn hard. I also talk to TV shows that I watch, too, and shit.
Oh, I do that with the news. You don't want to hear what I say.
Yeah.
Well, the news, but, yeah.
I talk to commercials. Like every time Subaru comes on.
I talk to all. Don't tell me what I want.
Love.
You don't know
what
me.
makes a Subaru. Fuck you, hippie.
Yeah, I've had to make deals with the wife on there's certain shows that I have to shut up on because it will ruin them for her.
Yeah, it's commercials and reality TV with me.
Yeah, it's when the housewives are on. There's a deal where I have to be quiet because I'll just sit there I will just riff for the whole show on everything I see.
You should come over and we could watch it. That'd be fun. We could tape it and have our own show.
I was going to say Mystery Science Theater the fuck out of the housewives of wherever.
Yeah, no, right?
we all have animals, and I can't be the only one that talks to my animal. It's going to answer me. You know.
The reason the cat is so mouthy here, that is my fault. I talk to the cat like it's a fucking human.
Yeah, I do too.
In the room, I just, hey, how's it going? But she fucking meows back.
Yeah, both of ours do. We had 3. We had to put one down in January, but he was the most talkative one. But the other 2 are like, walk by. Meow.
Yeah.
Hi there. How you doing? Meow. Yeah. At least I got somebody to talk to during the day. Can you imagine how cranky and ornery I'd be if I didn't? You should send my cats food.
Yeah, don't bother clicking through the Amazon banner. Don't donate.
No, fuck all that. No, just send it to Todzilla. Kalamazoo.
Send Todd's cats food.
Yeah, they'll know where to send it. Make it the good shit though. Don't send them.
Yeah, get that Blue Buffalo shit.
Yeah. Hear that, Allie? You're getting food.
Well, there you go.
Anyway.
Send cat food or donate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say
PayPal button.
To put another semi-serious spin, because I think it's a really important conversation that again we always have it when I'm on this show. So, and again, I'm gonna reiterate that there's really some significant and I think unseen damage is being done by people learning to socialize themselves on the internet, and it's going to have and it's going to have more real life consequences socially. And
put everyone on the spectrum.
Yeah, it's gonna have everybody at each other's throat.
That's kind of how I feel. Aaron, you nailed it. That's exactly how I felt. I'm like, at a certain point, it's going to be rude to hold eye contact with someone during a conversation.
Yeah, it's hostility, man.
And it's so strange. And I understand. I mean, this is definitely just bitching. Back in the day, bitching about when we were kids and stuff. But I'm sure we were all taught. You look a person in the eye when you talk to them.
Yeah.
And now it's like
showed sincerity.
All the nonverbal cues that used to be like someone who, if you're talking to them, when they get done talking, you start talking, they start looking at their nails, or they look over to the left or right. That was a nonverbal, like almost dismissal of whatever. You're not worth my time.
It's disrespectful. Yeah.
Now it's completely acceptable and normal, and. You get someone like me, and I'm sitting there like, I'm an asshole. I am an asshole. I call people out that I probably shouldn't. I'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, am I boring you?
Oh, I do that too. Yeah.
My favorite at work is my boss has never heard a sentence he didn't want to jump in the middle of. And I am constantly saying, I'm sorry, did the middle of my sentence interrupt the beginning of yours? Why don't you shut up? And people are like, you talk to the boss that way. I'm like, because he's a fucking asshole and interrupted me. I don't give a shit that he's my boss. What he just did has nothing to do with my job. has to do with him being a rude cocksucker. Sorry. If he wants to fire me, I'll take the hit. But come on, man. And it's just common decency. Yeah. And, I mean, I actually have customers come in, one just a couple weeks ago, a lady probably in her 50s, and she goes, I just wanted to say thank you. And I said, oh, you're welcome. What are you thanking me for? She goes, you answered the phone. You're Rich, right? I said, yeah. She goes, when I was getting off the phone, you're, hi, how are you? How you doing today? Took my order. Okay, well, the cost is this. Thank you very much. Have a good day. You actually, when I said, thank you, you said you're welcome. And I'm like, so I'm being thanked for having basic manners now?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
it's funny, when I was out doing my hitchhiking, one of the tactics that I use a lot of times when I'm sitting by the side of the road, because you're kind of, you feel vulnerable sometimes, when you're out there, and or at least subconsciously to a degree. And one of the biggest weapons that I've had, if I can call it that, is looking people in the face. Like when people drive by and they've got this amused look on their face, or they've got their head up, I look them straight in the eye. And nobody fucks with me as a result. I'm absolutely certain that I don't get messed with nearly as much as I would if I were to just be all unsure of myself and looking off and not being willing to look people in the face. There's something about it. I don't know that I can articulate it, but maybe you've hit on why. Maybe it's because that doesn't happen anymore. Maybe I'm being perceived as a bit more aggressive or hostile because I do that. So it kind of puts people off a little bit, like don't mess with this guy. But I've noticed that.
Hey man, I don't know. Maybe I'm old school. I'm with you, because if you won't look me in the eye and you have a shitty handshake.
Yeah. What are you up to?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yep. That's just again, I think that's probably how we were raised, because that was always the I guess implied reaction you would have to someone, at least when I was being raised, that they wouldn't look you in the face when they were talking or talking to you. They were something inauthentic about them. They weren't trustworthy.
You're up to something.
Yeah.
Won't look me in the eye.
Yeah. I don't know. It just made me think. It made me think about that. I wonder if that's that effect. If I'm using that to my unwitting advantage when I'm out.
Well, I have noticed there's a certain a book of unwritten rules. One of the exits I get off at, if I take the highway to work, there's always someone standing on the corner, homeless, anything helps, God bless you type sign.
Yeah.
These type people rarely ever sit there and make eye contact with you.
Yeah.
And then there's the dudes who hang out outside of a local speedway that I sometimes stop at. And these motherfuckers stare you down like you're a piece of meat and they're starving.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll look you into your parking spot and then start walking over as you get out your car. Yeah. Steady eye contact. Hey man, you got anything for me? Let me hold 5. And I'm like, 5? I'm like, homeboy, I ain't the one, first of all. Second of all, if I had that much money, you think I'd be coming to Speedway? Come on now. I go where the bums aren't. Come on.
I've run into those folks a lot when I've been out. And it's funny you mentioned that, because I have always taken the tract from the first year on that I treat them. You remember you were talking prison earlier, and you don't want to make yourself a target. I always, when I see them eyeballing me, I gaze them back. I will narrow my eyes a little bit, and I will steal a gaze straight into theirs. I see you, motherfucker.
Get some primal king of the jungle shit. You're just trying to get a pack of cigarettes.
That's exactly what it is. And most of the time, they see that I'm looking at them straight in the face, and they certainly won't harass me. They may say something, and I'll just say, nah, I ain't got nothing for you. And they will leave me the fuck alone. They will not push the issue with me because of that. It's really weird.
Well, I had a new one. It was the first, because it wasn't the first time I've ran into a crying woman outside of some place. And usually that's a bar, and they're like, my friends left and blah 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 blah, and you're like, yeah, you're drunk, whatever. But this woman comes to me crying. She's like, I don't have any gas money, and my car's parked at the pump, and they won't accept my card. And I was like, lady, I don't make much more than nothing. Seriously, I'm like, here, and I just like had some change in the car. I'm like, that's all I can do. I was like, wait a minute. If that had been a guy, I'd have been like, nah, man, I'm good.
Yeah.
But she come over crying, and I'm like,
tears. Yeah.
Fell for it.
She manipulated the fuck out of you.
That's that toxic. that's that toxic femininity.
Toxic feminism.
Yeah.
Like it worked.
Yeah. It's not real hard. I've said it before. It's not real hard to cut through the bullshit when you stay away from the God bless. Anybody flying a God bless sign, you stay the fuck away from them. And the homeless vet thing, no. they're
I had a guy the other day try to hand me a flag pin. I was like, nope.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
That shit comes with strings.
My favorite is an old comedian. He died, God, like of a heart attack, I think, in like 91. Wow, brain fart. His name just left. Anyway, Robin Harris. And he was like, can't go anywhere in Chicago. He was doing a show in Chicago. He's like, people coming up, brother man, you got some spare change? He's like, the fuck's spare change? Get your ass a spare job, And I've been drunk, like down at like Lafayette after a night out, and so they got any spare change, and I just hit him with that. And most of the time, it's just deer in headlights. Like, oh, that's not what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. I tell you guys a story about when I was out in. I might have told the story on here, and interrupt me and stop me if I have. But I was out in Williston, North Dakota here about I guess it was 2009. It's 9 years ago, and I had been in a cafe all night drinking coffee because I couldn't find a place to sleep. And sun came up. Walmart was next door. Opened up, and I walked over to a pole. Just sitting there, and it was right at the corner of a parking lot and a road that went out to the main road. And I just sat down, and I basically just sat there and wanted to sleep because I'd been up all night. And so I'm just sitting there, back against the pole, backpack next to me, and people started stopping their cars and giving me money.
Ha! Nice.
I had no idea what the fuck was going on. I mean,
how much did you make?
I made almost $50 sitting there for like 2 hours, and I didn't. I was like embarrassed. Like I just want to sleep, man. I got money, but there was this thing, and I again I want to put a positive spin on this just a little bit because Chris and I have had a lot of conversations about whether or not to take money when we're out when people offer it, and it's not such a bad thing to do in a situation like that because of what it does for the person giving the money. Even if you don't need it, as long as they're not giving you $50 and they don't have it, then there's a line that you're crossing. But they're giving you $5 and they just want to give it to you because they want to feel like they're helping. You're kind of taking something away from them if you don't. You know what I mean? I didn't need money that day at all. I was fine. I was on my way out to like Boise and Washington State and all that. But it struck me as how many people actually wanted to help somebody. It was really weird. I mean, you talk about cynicism, you talk about, whether people are pieces of shit or not. None of those people were solicited. None of those people had to stop. None of those people could, every single one of them. I wasn't looking at them. I wasn't trying to guilt trip anybody. I was just sitting there trying to get a couple of winks of sleep. And these people went out of their way to stop the car and hand me money. And it's little things like that. People they're not all fucked up. We do fucked up things. And we have a part of us that is really capable of some really horrific things. But there's also a part of us that's really capable of some real humanity. And, these folks that you see sitting on the side of the road, or maybe they're exploiting that, maybe they're not, whatever. But the fact that they're making money really says something about the fact that people have a collective human concern for each other on some level. And
yeah. Well, no, because one of the things that, every once in a while, I'll get, I'm going to get motivated. I'm going to take these bottles back today. So I throw a couple bags of bottles in my trunk or whatever. And then I just forget about it. And if I see someone going through, like at a gas station, going through the trash looking for bottles, I'll just, you know what? Fuck it. They probably use the $5 more than me. Here you go, bud. I see you looking for bottles, and there you go. Oh, thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah. And I'm like, to me, that's just being a decent human being.
How'd you feel about it, though? How did you feel about yourself when you did it?
I'm not a good barometer to judge this by, because I almost feel like an asshole. Like I'm insulting them sometimes. Like, what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, but at the same time, it's like, how do I explain this? It's like when you go into the store these days and you're like, would you like to donate $1 to? Well, first of all, if you're soliciting it, it's not a donation.
You, get away from me. Get away from me. Yeah.
But if I just give them to someone, it's like I feel better about that because I don't feel like I'm being crooked. But at the same time, I would almost worry that this person would be like, wait, you think I'm going to dig through trash for bottles? I don't need your charity. But I've yet to have anyone turn it down, so I don't know why I feel that way.
Yeah, because you would. Pride.
Depending on how hungry I was, I'd probably give the obligatory, no, I'm okay. And if they were like, no, seriously, here, I'd go, okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm really curious, though, when they finally took it, okay, they've taken the bottles and you're through that entire thing and you've gone about your business, you're moving on with your day. How did you feel?
For the most part, I mean, once it was done and over with the awkwardness, for the most part, it just felt better.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's what I was saying, but you're taking something away from people who are trying to do maybe not the right thing, but trying to do something to benefit someone else, something altruistic. And that's a good feeling, and that's the thing that a lot of the Eastern religion and Eastern philosophy stuff say that the greatest happiness is in service of others. And that's the crux of that. That's the path you're walking when you do something like that. And that's the conversation that Chris and I had about, taking money from, why do you want to take people away from people? If people understand that if you do something positive for someone else that's unsolicited just on your own initiative, and you feel good about that, you'll do it again. But why do you want to rob people of that? And that's the thing. I mean, there's this fork in the road that you come to, I think, or at least I have. I'm not going to speak for you guys or anybody else, but there's a fork in the road where you choose cynicism or you choose hope. And that's the thing that I think is the foundation of what I'm trying to get at here. That you can see people through whichever lens you want to look through. And I've found that in my traveling, not only in the States, but Latin America, South America, all that, is that if you are looking for it and your eyes are primed and focused to see it, you're going to see a hell of a lot more good in people, actual organic human beings, not on the internet. You're going to see that a lot more than you'll see bad. And I think if you're looking for any sort of ray of sausage party hope here, that's, I think, where it lies, is seeking that out and encouraging people to embrace it. Rewarding it and being an example of that too, which I am piss poor at, but trying. And I think that's if we're looking for solutions, that's kind of, I think, the beginning of it.
Trying's better than doing nothing.
Yeah, man. What's the alternative, right?
Be a theme tonight.
Starting a podcast and bitching about everything. That's the alternative.
Yeah.
So on that note, donate so we can keep doing this.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
You'll feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
And send it with the cat food. Don't send it to these guys. I'll make sure they get it.
Yeah. Follow us on Twitter at UnRegimentedPod. You can email us at unregimented@christianmedia.net. And check out all the other podcasts. And yeah, why not? In the spirit of commerce, there's a donate button and an Amazon link and all that fun shit. And thanks for listening. And thanks to those of you who missed us. Nice to be missed. And we'll catch you next week.
All right, later, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
If you like this show, please tell a friend. Please follow us on Twitter and like and share us on Facebook by searching for Christopher Media. You can subscribe to all ChristopherMedia.net shows for free on ChristopherMedia.net. Please make sure to rate and comment on all your favorite Christopher Media shows. Thank you in advance for supporting Christopher Media by clicking on the PayPal button and by clicking through to all the sponsors who support ChristopherMedia.net. Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net, and thank you for listening. Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Shop new looks for the new year at Macy's one-day sale. Going on now with deals of the day like sweaters from Clubroom, Alfani, Inc., and more. $19.99 to $29.99. And get 40 to 60% off coats and boots. Then add the finishing touch to any look with fine jewelry clearance 70% off. Plus, get your .com orders fast with contact-free curbside pickup. Or you can pick them up inside the store. For details, visit Macy's.com. Savings off sale and clearance prices. Exclusions apply.
There's a new Home Depot now open on Maurice Avenue in Maspeth. And as home improvement projects go, this is a big one. Use the product locator on our app for an in-store map to find what you need fast. And check out our new pickup lockers. They make online shopping a breeze. Of course, one thing's not new, our everyday low prices. The Home Depot, now open near Maurice Avenue and Long Island Expressway in Maspeth. And always open at HomeDepot.com. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.